incredibly easy to execute. The Azir, incredibly strong still. The Pantheon, that really rose up massively towards the end of MSI and at EWC is another big look. And the Varus, that was the king of AD carry, will be taken away from Hype here at the outset.
All right, so not looking like there's too many changes just yet. We'll see whether the Ziggs gets a look in, as of course Orcs did tell us that his buffs are ridiculous, and they are. I mean, a 50% AP ratio buff on his Hextech Minefield doesn't sound balanced to me. No. That's going from 30% to 45 is just really dumb. Anyway, we've got the Yone going to be taken away next, and there is the Trundle ban as well. Xiu can be playing some tanks a little bit more comfortably, and of course, Croco is just a fantastic Trundle player, so just taking it away makes a bunch of sense.
Looks like Showmaker's Azir to me, Atlas, here in this
I mean, they buffed Azir. Why do they even need to do that? It's never mind, Gwen. It's Xiu, so sometimes you just got to pick Gwen.
The Rumble is open as a potential response to this, though, so a fairly risky pick. Same to be true of the Taliyah into the Azir, and Closer's Taliyah is amazing. We saw it to great success in rounds 1 and 2. It's one of his best picks, if not his best pick, I think, of the year so far. And I've been saying it, you know, it's already round 3, day 1, but I'm like, it's the year of Closer. It's Closer's best year. Anyway, the Gwen will come through. It feels like the best answer here should be a Rumble, but we have seen Ambessa attempted by players like Morgan in the matchup. We've even seen Jax return to play quite significantly recently. But they're looking for the Wukong initially here. Lock that one in. With a lot of jungle bans, it does make sense.
It does. Croco cycling through a bunch of stuff. We'll see whether they do decide to lock in their answer to the Gwen already. She does deal with tanks quite effectively, so it's not as easy as just pick Sion and be happy, because of course the Trundle was already banned on the side of DK. But we'll see where he wants to go. I mean, the Renekton's up. It's a possibility here to pair alongside the Wukong, but I don't know whether it's going to be a Draven, especially when it's Hype playing instead of Bull. And there is the Aurora. And this is likely going top lane as well. We've seen it become a big favorite against the Gwen.
Yeah, I think it is going to be going top lane. Like the Rumble, it's a good matchup into the Gwen. You know, Rumble is able to duel into the Gwen with his Flame Spitter really well, but Aurora just kind of spaces the Gwen out and makes it really difficult for the Gwen to trade or get Qs off with the weirding. As soon as you see the Gwen go in, you just push yourself away, trade aggressively. Whether you're going Electrocute or the Grasp. As Showmaker looking for the Taliyah lock-in here, which is pretty flexible, will be kind of a tougher matchup if the Aurora happens to be flex mid. Again, unlikely, but it's a lot of power with the side lane of this Gwen. The Gwen gets big, she pushes hard, and then the Taliyah supports that with Weaver's Wall.
Yep, and you also kind of deny the Azir just a little bit as well, so you're going to be picking that instead of having to play into the inevitable Taliyah. As what is Lucid going to be playing here? As the Poppy looks to be the consideration. Man, it is the anti-dash.
It's really good into the Wukong, you know? The Taliyah plus Poppy makes it difficult for Croco to engage the way he wants to in this draft. And if he ends up getting caught, the Gwen will just shred him to pieces in a team fight. Might even just duel him on a flank if he's looking for the big wraparound. This is a really interesting call now in terms of what they're going to pick here. Going to reveal that location of the Aurora as we already expected. It's just going to be Closer's Ahri here.
Have you ever just looked at, like, you're not allowed to dash on the enemy team and picked a champion whose kit revolves around an ultimate that requires you to dash?
I'm a little bit concerned about it too, because the power of Taliyah into Ahri is insane, because if you are able to react correctly and predict the dash, you can just punish that go forward. Yes, with your rocks, but also with just a shove. You put yourself in harm's way. So very risky draft here for Bro at the beginning of it, but it has a lot of explosive power and a lot of engage opportunities if you can circumvent the Poppy. Yeah, maybe if there's just so many dashes, she can only stop one, and someone's going to get through.
I guess. And of course, Ahri in the lane is actually decent into the Taliyah. We have been seeing it all year long, but seeing Poppy and Taliyah together, I just wouldn't want to pick Ahri, but maybe that's just
I mean, Azir also dashes, but he can also just kind of stand there and wail on you, so
that would be, that sounds okay. As they're not going to be taken away, it looks like supports are going to be the focus here for the next round, as both teams needing to lock away their bottom lanes. And the Alistair is going to be the next one to go. Rel stocks through the roof right now, especially when it's Polo and Beryl that are on either side of the rift.
I feel like Jinx is really good here for Bro. I know I'm kind of the guy who says Jinx early. I'm the wolf that cried Jinx. But it feels really strong with their comp because they have a lot of pick potential. There's a lot of upfront burst with this Aurora. So I wonder if they're going to consider a lane like that and can go for support first and keep it a little bit open-ended. Kai'Sa is going to ultimately ban, and I thought it would be the Rel too, so maybe they just take that now instead.
Yeah, I would expect that that is something that they'd be looking at. Could be a Poppy in the bottom lane for that reason, right? You can interrupt a bit of what Rel wants to do, and can actually, you know, give you some options for some funny business. Lucid could go towards something a little bit more aggressive, perhaps like a Lee Sin or a Viego.
You could even go Sejuani with this Gwen pick if you wanted to swap the Poppy into support.
Yeah, true. Although Lucid on a tank, do we want that?
I don't know if we want it, but it is going to be an Ezreal lock-in here for hype rather than something like that Jinx. Just a little bit safer and kind of just avoid the shove. That's the main thing. It's going to be very difficult to push this Ezreal into a wall, although we have seen it before.
Yep.
And now here for D plus Kia, what's the answer? Kalista has been everyone's least favorite right now. I don't think we'll be seeing that. Caitlyn has fallen out of favor quite a bit. It might just be with no Varus here, Sivir, because of the wave clear that it's going to provide.
Well, this is a Gold King champion, right?
It certainly is, as everybody wants to hover Nunu. I don't know where this started. Someone's going to have to catch me up.
Well, it's probably not going to be picked, although Beryl is hovering it.
But it's been like hovered, it was hovered like all through EWC, I mean, it was hovered.
He could actually lock it right now and just play Poppy in the support role. You never really know. Beryl is just going to hold on to that for the moment, and we'll see what he does decide to lock away, because Rel is looking pretty strong.
Karma or Bard feels like the best to me.
Oh, it's double ulti in the bottom lane. I actually kind of like this. AoE speed up and AoE speed up paired together. This is an old lane that we used to see many years ago.
Now I think you have to have some sort of range support here. You already have great engage with the Wukong and the Ahri, so maybe it's just going to have to be the Bard I was talking about matching this. Otherwise, I think you just get hard pushed and you never control mid lane, and then Ahri can never find angles. You already are so desperate to find angles around the dash. Nico, another range support that is often banned, and we very rarely saw it get be available this deep in a draft, so it kind of slipped my mind, but a little bit tough to pull off with this composition, but if you catch someone with that root from Nico, and then the Charm comes through, the Wukong engage, you get a good Pop Blossom angle, it is very strong, but it's hard to get access with this Poppy, with this Taliyah, and I feel like what D+'s draft has is a ton of side lane power and wave clear. Like, are you ever going to be able to get to an objective first against this comp that just constantly clears waves and threatens your sides and then can protect its sides with that Taliyah? That's my biggest problem here with how Bro's going to have to approach 5v5 team fights.
Yeah, I feel like the setup for DK is absolutely fantastic. I think once you're in the thick of things, Bro's composition team fights extraordinarily well, right? Like AoE, CC, absolutely everywhere. Like Cyclone and Pop Blossom by themselves is probably enough. But then there's, you know, Aurora making zones of death for the team. So it is going to be a great comp for Bro if they can actually make it to those 5v5s, but it's getting there that sounds so incredibly difficult, especially when you're dealing with a Poppy that's booping you away. Like, you're trying to go for a lot of these engages, but if, say, you're charging a Pop Blossom and then Poppy says goodbye, then you're probably going to lose that 4v5.
Yeah. I think people really do underestimate how limited your engage is when you can't see where the enemy champions are. You know, we could talk for days about what this comp could do, but when it can't actually find the angles, it does very little.
Yeah, but we'll just have to see how it does go. I think DK coming into this, I guess it's not really the next season, but our next round of LCK looking pretty good in the draft.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the Rift for game number 1, DK versus Bro. I almost talked over the fan chants because it's been that long, Wolf. And thankfully, I caught myself. We managed to hear the cheers, and now we're onto the Rift.
Isn't this like the first match 91 in LCK history?
That's what it feels like.
Because we always just end at 90 and start over in summer split.
Yeah, true. There we go.
Wow.
Oh, man, we are officially in uncharted territory.
History's been made, Atlas.
Who knows what's going to happen now? Actually, it's probably going to be 92 next. It's probably where we're going to get. That's going to be coming up later on. But we don't know. Maybe it's not, because like you say, we have never seen what comes after 90. Sorry, after 91.
That's right.
Yeah, after 90, it was 91. We can confirm that, but only for the first time today.
Just happened. All right. It's so good to be back at the LCK.
Oh,
we get to take off our international caster pressure.
Oh, wait. The tiebreaker, G-Sun just let us know.
Yeah, but the tiebreaker is not match 91, right? It's just its own match in itself. I think it's just called tiebreaker. It doesn't
So that was
actually get the
still
match, no.
kind of a, oh yeah, I guess not a first time because we've had many tiebreakers in the past. So this is officially uncharted territory now. Okay?
Yeah. I mean, the tiebreaker would have been the 91st match, but it's not match 91.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that we cleared that up.
Yeah, no, just, I mean, everybody needs to know.
Yeah. All right, well, this is exactly what this lane is going to do. Aiming and Beryl are going to consistently push, hype, and follow underneath the turret until they lane swap. That is what's going to happen. It's likely that Aiming and Beryl will be able to have first move on that swap at the same time, and so it will be all about maintaining tempo around the map here for DK and creating some control. You can see here, though, Closer actually laning pretty aggressively, but that's a great trade back here for Showmaker, standing his ground. Ground, get it?
Yeah.
It's Talia. And we'll be able to even things out quite nicely.
And Closer does get that electrocute to proc and ends up getting the better of the trade, arguably, there. But you said it ends up being a pretty nice snapback for the side of Showmaker. As we'll see where Lucid ends up making his first move. He is pathing towards the top side of the map right now. We're in the early laning phase. That is where the pressure is going to be for Morgan. And same, of course, to be true of Krako. A little bit less impact on the Wukong, though. 3-6.
Yep.
And I mean, Sivir, this is what she does. She does a lot of damage in the late game when she ricochets into people and also just auto-attacks them in general. But in the lane, even in these early levels, she just kills minions and she kills them fast.
Certainly does. And I mean, it's not a comp from Bro that is really all that Sivirable. Sivir really likes it when everything's extraordinarily low range and likes to do a bit of a death ball. This Bro composition is pretty maneuverable, right? Like you're able to get around Spirit Rush, Arcane Shift, all these sorts of things. So you're not going to be sharing pixels all that much.
But you're not going to get snared or charmed because you're going to spell shield it in every scenario. So, and as we learned at EWC, you know, it works against Bard's ult as well. So maybe that's why they decided to go for the Nico instead.
Yeah, could be the opportunity. As of course, Pop Blossom, a very big cooldown for denial as well with that spell shield. You only have one though. There is, you know, the theory that what you do when someone has a spell shield is you just bring way too much.
Yeah, the Wukong is the big problem.
Interrupters. Okay, Beryl. The heal is going to come on out here as Aiming will soak a Mystic Shot, but now it's his turn to take a bunch of damage. And the Mystic Shot they're missing is going to spell the end of it. But Beryl, let's start a little slow, shall we?
Beryl is going to try to guarantee
okay, never mind.
back.
I'm never going to talk to him ever again. As that's a lie.
It ends up being just a trade of heals. I think it's really important that Bro stop that back, because if they get away with the back, then it literally doesn't mean anything for Beryl. Even though it's a trade of summoners, it's a huge win for Bro, because now they can desync these backs and even force Lucid to hang around here.
Yeah, he's actually looking for a bit of an angle as Aiming will avoid a little bit here. Is sped up as the Karma makes their way back in. There's a heroic charge. Polly taking a little bit of damage, but it's not exactly the gank Lucid was looking for. So they are going to be able to make it out. It's the cost of only a heal here in the bottom lane.
So much jungle pressure forced just by, you know, Beryl getting rooted and then him trying to back and Bro looking for the interrupt and Lucid coming over here to try to stop them. And then Krako's like, well, maybe if they over-index into this, then I can get something done. But ends up just being they both back, and it's a CS lead still here for Aiming. Heals down for supports, but could have been a little bit more disastrous there.
Yeah.
Beryl still walks it off, so we'll give it to him this time. We'll allow it.
Yeah, this is, it's not end of the world, not exactly the greatest way to start, but it's fine. We're clutching at straws because, you know, there's a 200 gold lead here at 5.5 minutes. No one's really pulling ahead really anywhere. As you can see, top side of the map, no, I tell a lie. Morgan is doing a really good job against Shu, but range versus melee and lane bully versus Gwen. That is likely to go this way. We have seen it become the real good matchup here for the Aurora into the Gwen.
That's
Closer takes a bunch of damage, exactly. That's so annoying, right? Beryl just walks in, helps take half the health bar of Closer, and then walks away.
Yeah, it's kind of the Ox gank that Ox talks about all the time, where it's super annoying. You're not going to kill me, but you are going to ruin my life and make me have to back without
basically gank their feelings instead of their champion. Yeah,
I mean, look at where Closer is now. He's just going to try to Foxfire his way back to lane as fast as possible as Alu?
Okay, yeah, Beryl's taking Polly for a walk. That is going to be a snare, but otherwise not too much more. I feel like Jonas Strong made us more excited about that moment than it had any right to be. Yeah, I appreciate the drama.
I was looking at, like, Closer's mana to see if he was actually Foxfiring, so I got caught off guard by the pan.
I like it.
This ends up being a relatively quiet early game, right? We had the trade of heals. Morgan was winning the top lane, right, which is as you're supposed to do, especially with all the jungle attention bottom side there. There's no relief or pressure for Shiu. He just is going to get bullied here. Small lane lead for the side of Closer, but that mid lane has been so incredibly close between those two. And it's really the first team fight we're waiting for to see where things start to eventuate, especially with the, pre-6 Nico and a Karma. There's not a lot of hard engage. There's not a whole lot of, I'm going to force a fight right before Dragon. I'm going to try to use some pressure. We're just kind of chilling. It's a bro game, so it makes sense.
It is definitely feeling a bit bro and brewy. I'm really getting that vibe from it so far. And it's making me feel like we've come home, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly what we wanted. Did you get some good sleep last night?
I
we
really
were
did.
off a plane yesterday morning.
I did. My wife took care of the baby last night for me, so I could get enough sleep to come here.
What a hero!
Yep, they're the true heroes, the wives. So I'm cool. I got to see my daughter. Was really happy about that, and I'm back here now in the thick of things. So I'm glad I got enough sleep to not let bro, do me in.
Yeah, I think we're both very lucky. I survived until 10 p.m. and then I slept until 7, and it was perfect. Maybe I will retain like an adult sleep schedule for at least 4 days. I'm really looking forward to it. As Croco and Hype doing some damage here to this Dragon, they will be able to take that one down without a contest. Looks like the Grubs might be the option here for DK, as they do have aiming and barrel towards his top side, and yeah, Morgan gonna have less fun against the Karma Sivir than he was against the Gwen.
Yeah, and now that we're all grouped up topside here, Croco needs to rush in because he's the main part of this fight here for Bro. Without him, they just can't do it. They're so split. Showmaker gonna zone. Yeah. Not a great target for Croco here.
Well, Lucid is just going to steadfast presence his way out. Beryl is tanking a whole lot. True Shot Barrage going to soften him up there as well, but he is going to survive. Aiming wanted to use his spell shield there, but the True Shot Barrage doesn't quite clip him. As here on the bottom side of the map, Shiu might be able to do something here to Hype, who did just press his R button, but it's not really going to allow him to kill an Ezreal, especially when Hype is playing so safe. So Grubs traded for the Dragon.
You know when you have a feeling,
yes,
it can be backed up by facts immediately, so you feel really good about it.
Oh,
I can confidently say, and I had this feeling, and I started to stat it out on my brain. This is the longest first blood in round 3.
Oh my God!
And it's 9 minutes in. We had a really close little group up there where it looked like, oh, maybe Croco's going to engage, but it's just a 2-for-1 Grubs exchange, no commitment, no fight.
Do you know what's also crazy? It's also the shortest first blood that we've ever had.
Well, not yet.
Well, it's going to be. Unless it never happens, in which case...
That's what I'm saying. It could
longest
be a 0-0.
first blood might be in game 2.
It would be the lowest kills ever in an LCK game.
Wait, if we didn't have a first blood in this game, like if no one killed anyone, right, and the Nexus just exploded, would you then count this entire game in the calculation for first blood for the next game?
Would you? So you're saying like add the game time to game 2?
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because I would just say there was no first blood.
Oh, that's a bit of a shame.
It would be fun, and you could do it for science, and it would be accurate, but I feel like it wouldn't be accurate for game 2's first blood because it's a different game. Sorry to ruin your fun on that.
Wait, but it could be for series first
Yes,
blood.
no, 100%. It would probably be the longest ever, yeah.
So we could have like a 70-minute series first blood. If there's no first blood in this game, and there's like a 35-minute game, and then you got a 37-minute game with first blood at 36 minutes. Oh my God, be incredible.
The longest
1-minute first blood.
The latest first blood of all time, just to put this in perspective, is 38 minutes and 59 seconds.
So LCK.
Generic Green Wings against Kingzone.
Yeah.
You knew Jenner would be in there. And Bro's in here, the spiritual successor.
It's funny as well because, of course, Kingzone became DRX, and Max was on that team as well, and now he's over with DK. There are some vibes.
That's a lift.
Shiu going aggressive here as Morgan is going to bounce to the other side of his circle, but the flash forward will get the flash out. Needlework almost kills him, but it's not quite enough, as I don't know about that one, Showmaker. He is just dead, and the dream of the 70-minute first blood dies with Showmaker.
I do think that when you look at how Showmaker moved there, it was kind of reasonable to expect that with all the pressure onto Hype, that Closer would have been rotating down with Croco to try to relieve that pressure. Showmaker didn't have vision. He just kind of face checked there. It was a pretty tricky move from Bro to go, instead of saving Hype, we'll just trap Showmaker, who's going to look for a Weaver's Wall play, and Hype should be able to get out of here.
That Arcane Shift was fantastic as aiming. Boomerang Blade comes out. Polo with the heal. Will catch up, though. And they are zoning, so this is still going to be a valuable gank. They're going to be taking some of these plates as well. Beryl getting to work on that turret there towards the bottom side, but unable to answer that first blood.
So the idea here for Showmaker is, look, they're hiding because all the hype's on pressure. They know that the pressure is on hype. They know this. Showmaker wants to set up a Weaver's Wall play. Wants to go over here. He's like trying to rotate over. It looks a little bit worse the second time I watch it than it was in the first. But still, I think Showmaker's idea is they probably won't be there. They're probably trying to help their Ezreal. But they set a trap for him. So even though hype ends up losing a lot of farm there and does end up losing heal as well for his support, they end up getting the kill. It's a nice trap from Bro.
Really nicely played. And the Bros kind of need this to happen, right? This composition skirmishes so well in the mid game. Getting that leg up as far as the tempo of the game is concerned is really going to be important. And mid lane control paramount here for this composition. You said year of the closer. It's looking like that is continuing here as Xiu does need to be a little bit careful. We are aware that there is a cheeky monkey in that top brush. But he's not going to be overextending or anything like that.
Xiu has just evolved so much since his Challenger days. I mean, it's only been half a year, right? But, like, I think Challenger Xiu looks for a trade there and dies.
Well, Beryl is also looking to die here as he doesn't get hit by one of those Mystic shots, and that is going to keep him alive. Beryl has certainly been playing some fast and loose League of Legends here, as maybe I'm just not used to it. It's been a while since we've casted Beryl. I just need to get back into the swing of it, where he goes as close to dying as possible in every possible scenario. But yeah, just it's not something that you really get used to. As now Showmaker is looking to die again, does use the flash this time. Great charm from Closer, and that will confirm it. Kill is stolen there by Polo, so maybe some infighting on the side of Bro. We'll see whether they can hold themselves together.
It's going to be huge, though, because the Drake is up. It's an Infernal Drake, and Bro already have the first dragon of the game here. Crockway did not have to use his Cyclone, so I think they should be pretty comfortable to start this up. Morgan.
Yeah, going a bit aggressive here as the circle is going to get Xiu out of there scot-free. And snip, snip. Not going to be too much here as the needlework actually hitting, and Morgan missing a bunch of buttons here onto Xiu. Is this just a solo kill? It is! Morgan couldn't get anyway, didn't have his flash!
Not the first set of abilities Morgan's missed in this lane phase we've watched. Just looking a little bit uncomfortable on this Aurora pick, but ultimately it's going to be a huge win here for Xiu on the top side. That's going to be a plate, at least one plate going over. They have 2 grubs here, so might be able to stick it for 2, knowing everyone else was just bottom side here. So this Gwen going to get some value. Doesn't greed for 2, but we'll get the 1 at least.
That is a disaster, actually. It's really opened a huge hole as Closer here, closing in on Showmaker.
There's so much vision for Bro, by the way, all over the map, and I think there's plays like this that are powered by that. Showmaker goes very greedy here in his punish, and then, yeah, Morgan, in this situation here, wants to duel, gets the full Q out of Xiu. Xiu then dodges his weird and gets on top of him, stacks another Q here, and Morgan just struggling to avoid anything there. Could have backed away, but didn't have flash. Very awkward as Showmaker is going to at least get a turret down here on the bottom side. This game's still relatively even. It feels like a bit of errors, though, on both sides.
I would agree. I think Showmaker certainly getting targeted, but as a Taliyah, you do have a fair bit of utility regardless, right? You're going to be used for your anti-dash and your wall and all that sort of cool stuff.
Agree.
The Gwen, if you stay behind, will just not really do very much as this game goes on. So it is a fantastic thing here for DK that Xiu gets that advantage. So DK still probably very happy with this position in the game, especially with that first brick now going down. They grab themselves the gold lead once again, and things are looking to be back on track. But you can see the Bros, they are set up for the feats of warfare in 1 kill, and the others for the objectives, the feats of objectives, as I believe Captain Flowers coined it. We need a real one for that, but we haven't quite figured it out yet.
Teleport for Morgan is coming up right now, and he is going to be able to deal with Showmaker here. And Bro are set up to, if they can get the right engage here, look for a contest of this objective. As, you know, this is the big problem, right? This is what we talked about in draft, is Sivir can just clear these waves instantly, and then it's like, oh, you had Prio, that was nice and all, but now catch this wave and it's mine. I'm taking it away from you, and we will see a bit of a reset there. Croco actually going to take it back, so it doesn't look like the Herald fight is going to commence as quickly as it seemed.
Yeah, we do have Poppy making her way back. There's a Shirelia's done here for Beryl, so he's got the Mantrid Inspire on the hunt and Shirelia's to get out of dodge. Beryl might actually be somewhat safe in this game, at least from this moment on, and that is certainly good news.
He's got a heal for an additional speed up as well.
Oh my goodness. Okay, it's ridiculous. He is going to be booking it all the way around the Rift all the time. All we need now is Cloud Soul and some Mountain Souls.
Why didn't Beryl go for Phase Rush in this game? Come on.
That's actually a really good point, Wolf. I'm not entirely sure.
We know the answer, but I just want to ask the question.
I mean, celestial bodies tend to move relatively quickly, you know, due to the fact that, you know, space doesn't have, like, gravity or air resistance and stuff like that, so theoretically a comet sounds fast.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He doesn't need the phase rush.
Well, we're still
hit enough things.
Still grouped here, and Bro didn't make the call to try to hard engage. They just kept dropping wards in this pit. This control ward that's been here for a while for D+ is just going to keep eating up. And Closer can't get in here. I think that just simply might be the Herald take. If aiming rotates up, he's going to clear this wave. And Bro, I mean, they need some sort of flash engage from Palu or something. And Kroko looks like he's conceded the point entirely. Although D+ don't know that, so they do back away as more and more Bro wards get dropped into that control ward pit.
Yeah, that is where wards go to die, ladies and gentlemen. It's sort of like the elephant graveyard from The Lion King. Sheer here towards the top side, just defending against Closer this time around. The reason why I think DK backed away was that Morgan did manage to make it back to base with his teleport off cooldown, so they didn't want to give him an opportunity to make a play, get back into this game. As the Lord has been farming well, if you compare him against Shiu, but otherwise has been struggling just a little bit to get value out of this Aurora. And once again, they're going to be starting off this Rift Herald. Dragon going to be up in just under a minute's time.
Decent value on that true shot here for hype, but it alone is not going to be enough to contest. Cryo for Closer means they're looking for an angle. Kroko also unseen, so D+ don't know where he is, and he's trying to catch Showmaker. Weaver's Wall too late.
Yeah, Cyclone is going to interrupt it, but I don't know whether Kroko is going to be able to do enough by himself. Seismic shove, not going to get him. Showmaker looking to at least make sure that the monkey wasn't wrapping around yet again. Lucid will take that as the opportunity to take this Rift Herald, though, and he will lose his red buff for it.
You can see Kroko is just like, well, I guess I'll get red. I needed that kill to be worth it because 100% they're getting the Herald now. Because Kroko was hidden for so long, D+ couldn't take it, but now that he shows, they're just simply going to get it now. Morgan is pushing this turret down in the bottom side. It will take a little bit of time to get it. It's going to get a TP here out of Showmaker. I think the only way they could have got Showmaker there is if Morgan, you know, Pac-Man with his ult really fast there, but I think Showmaker still gets out. Might have been forced to flash, but at the end of the day, it's a huge win for D+ because they get Herald. They're going to get mid, and maybe Showmaker gets out with flash.
Does manage to flash over the wall, and Morgan does hit some buttons. We'll see whether Showmaker's going to survive. I think a Q might be enough. The auto needs to be there, and there it is. Kroko going to have to flash, though, to avoid dying to the turret.
From Shiu, though, they're going to try to punish, and it's too late.
Yeah, teleport is going to be able to get Morgan out of there, so he teleports all the way back to base. Not going to be able to make it down for any sort of dragon fight, though, as the charm is going to connect there onto Beryl. Remember, the movement speed? Well, yeah, he presses a bunch of those buttons, and he will be able to get himself out. The heal and the Shurelya's being the two main ones. As Hype in this mid lane will now be able to answer that outer turret that fell just earlier on. And I thought that DK would actually be able to use this to get a dragon.
Yeah, but
as it turns out, it's not going to work.
Yeah, they have to spend so much as Closer.
Never mind, that is the heroic charge. And Closer will just get cut down aiming. Grabs his first of the game.
That might be enough prior to get the dragon.
Yeah, that'll get there. And that will also be feats of strength.
Yeah, it will be. That's the final one here to go over, as Warfare is not enough for Bro. They got two Drakes, couldn't get the Herald, couldn't get this third Dragon, so that will be D+ securing this. Very close game, though, because at the outset, it looked like, okay, they got Herald, they got a turret, but Bro also got a turret. They basically got bottom turret. They got that kill on a Showmaker. It started to feel like Bro had actually traded up here, or unsuccessful, as Showmaker a little bit greedy on this one, survives the initial gank, but obviously, there's just too much damage to take him out here. Even with Morgan tanking the turret, they juggled it actually really well. Kroko didn't need to flash there, but didn't know if necessarily people were coming back down, so wants to keep that health. Closer gets punished, though, in return, and that should be the first Drake of the game going over to D+. But, man, if Bro had gotten that third one, it would have felt real rough. Mountain Soul point early in the game.
Yeah, that would have been nuts. Bro would have been well and truly set up at that point. This time around, though, it is DK starting their mountain stacking. And a quad mountain with a Gwen on your team doesn't sound like something that I'd really want to deal with, not to mention the Poppy as well, that is going to be nigh unkillable more than she already is. So a very scary prospect if DK can retain control of that Dragon Pit, but still great for the Bros to be able to pick up those first two Drakes and make sure that DK is as far away from Seoul as possible. 21 minutes into this game now, and a 500 gold lead, something like that. It is time to talk about like who has the better 50-minute composition, you know, Wolf?
Yeah, I would argue, okay, we're going to have a bit of a scuffle over this Gromp.
Yep, it's going to be a denial of Kroko to be able to escape as well. Still doesn't have that flash back, as there's the ulti onto two. Kroko just wondering where he wants to put his Cyclone, finds the double knockup onto the bottom lane, and will be able to make his way out. And Morgan will survive as well, but DK putting on a lot of pressure. Shiu dancing underneath this turret will be able to demolish it and get another one on the board here for DK.
Another win here for D+. Krako with some nice movement there does survive, but barely surviving and then losing a turret topside is not really a success story, I think, for Bro. And the Sivir, who's just been able to constantly clear, is starting to become quite large. I was going to say, I argue that the situation is way better for D+ in this game. Even if you look at like the fact that both mid turrets are gone, both outers, you could say, oh, that's really good for Bro because they've got an Ahri Wukong comp. Maybe they could wrap around. You're never going to wrap around. You're never going to have vision. You're never going to have that prio because guess what? Sivir exists. And now there's no mid turret to even catch her wave, so somebody always has to be there. And Ezreal is never going to be able to match that. So even though it's a trade of mid turrets, I think this is massively in favor of D+. Just gives them so much more map control. And look at the vision they have with it as well, with the tempo they picked up after that fight where they got closer. They're just not going to let it go. In fact, they've got their eyes towards a potential Otacon start.
Yeah, they could be able to grab that because, like you were saying, control of waves is something that they've been able to do. Still, many teams have lost the game at the Otacon pit.
Yeah,
so I like them playing a little bit more reserved.
They do have teleport for Shiu, who's unanswered in the side, and they are starting to now group up here. So maybe with that Sivir damage, they could actually start it. But instead, just playing around the fact that there's no vision for Bro on Otacon, and that they could be doing it to get that extra map control.
Yep, Lucid, you're just going to tank a True Shot Barrage for fun. And aiming, look at this. Look at this gameplay. Kills the control ward and the wave at the same time. Feels amazing. And Bro now going to be able to move down and will be able to get some answering vision as the control ward will be replaced to deny close of the money. Charm comes in. Lucid, I don't know, not sure about this one, but he does survive for a while before getting put down. There's the flash forward from Closer, and it's a great spell shield from aiming to keep him alive, but still feels like the damage is kind of being done.
There's no jungler for D+ now. I mean, the damage here is not massive for the composition of Bro. It is an Ahri comp, but she's got Leandri's. I think they could still start this up and look for a turn. And in fact, with the push that you're seeing in mid, it looks like D+ are just going to trade this for inner. And they also have that Gwen on the top side. Someone needs to defend. It's going to be Morgan.
Yep, it's going to be an ulti used just to demolish the wave and do some damage here to aiming. As there it is, Otacon will be taken down here by the Bros.
And you know, you have the vision control. You can look for turns. You can play around that vision, but being where Lucid was is just not allowed, unfortunately. Atlas, like, Bro, we're like, oh, we don't have any vision, but for some reason there's a Poppy out here. That doesn't make sense, and they're definitely not on the Otacon, so I guess we'll just take the free kill.
They also just watched the ward go down.
This is the one, and like you said, they saw the ward, and this is the one place where D+ doesn't have any vision, is in this tri-brush, and there's no one outside of Morgan's Aurora showing on the map, so aiming loses his flash. His spell shield is fantastic, but that's a huge win for Bro as well, and still relatively close game. I like the position here for D+, but Bro kind of getting away with murder there.
Yep, fighting back. And Otacon is so incredibly strong as well, and will only make them stronger as this game goes on. This buff is pretty nuts, so could be an avenue back in. We already mentioned how good they are in these team fights and skirmishes. That's if they can deal with the Poppy problem and, you know, Taliyah making it impossible for, you know, half the team composition to use their abilities, that sort of thing. But still, DK, their composition is about controlling map states and things like that, right? It's about the setup, not the actual execution of a fight. So
Bro,
if there ever is an honest 5v5, Bro should be feeling real good.
Yeah, Bro finally kind of get that honest setup here because they had enough control. They can actually look to start this dragon and look for a turn. Paulo in perfect position for a flash Pop Blossom.
Well, there's the Cyclone as ulti comes on through. That gets rid of the Ahri. That could be a big deal, actually, as the clone will be dealt with. And Morgan going hyper-aggressive. A lot of damage here as Lucid trying to make his way out of shoes, flashing forward. Morgan will be taken out. The Gwen is a menace, but will be eliminated. And the Bros pretty happy with how this has gone so far. A lot on cooldown on the side of D+. They only have a wall and a dream right now.
Yeah, and that was the one time Bro had prio. The one time the Sivir didn't just rip them away, force them to defend. And unfortunately, Paulo just isn't able to close the gap. It's the Wukong engage here first for Krako, but doesn't hit all the targets, so looking for the ult still goes off for Lucid. Paulo really hits nothing of value with his ultimate, and that's the combo they were looking for. This allows, with the overchase here, for Shiu to come in and just delete Morgan, and he does so much damage that the fight here, unfortunately, now unplayable for Hype, who shifts in and has to promptly flash out on the Ezreal, and we go again.
Yep, we are just back into the same game state. Teleports up for both top laners, and so we re-enter the Thunderdome once again.
But that was now the prio's gone. You know, now the engage angles here for Bro are gone, and this is where the fights get so much tougher.
Yeah, the setup is pretty good here for DK, as we can see. Control vision all over the place. Even the Dragon going on a little bit of a wander here, which one we like to see. Shape Splitter will be able to get a bit of vision here for Polo. And we are yelling Oba a lot, but otherwise not too much more, as DK will start off this Dragon.
Now Paulo doesn't have Flash, so they're not worried about it. They're not concerned about that Pop Blossom re-engage.
In fact, no one has Flash on the side of Bro. Lucid does have his, though, as the Weaver's Wall comes on down. A little knockback there onto Hypers. It was almost a 50-50, but not able to get over that wall. And DK just lock him out and take it down.
That's the kind of shot calling I think it's been missing for Bro.
Here we go. Cyclone comes in. We'll need another one, though, if he wants to knock up aiming. And now he's just getting kited, put on a leash, and taken down. Not something you're supposed to do, I think, with monkeys, but that is fine. DK will be able to just take down the jungler, and Croco, a bit of desperation there in that play.
This Gwen just getting tankier and tankier. That's a nice try with the trinket, but not enough damage, I don't think, even necessarily to get the kill there, but it is avoided by both. Good reactions on the side of D+, but I misspoke. I meant to say this is the kind of shot calling was missing for D+, not Bro, at the end of round 2. Look at how careful they play this. They leave nothing to chance. Shiu has the wraparound angle if there's a heavy commitment in, and when that commitment comes, everyone on D+ is already split. Lucid's got the ult here on the cross, and following up on Croco's engage is just not possible. It's literally impossible. D+ are like, I know everything that your comp does, and I'm not going to allow any single entry point. And Croco gets desperate there, as Bro are just starting to feel like, okay, this game is very clearly washing away from us. We're losing control super fast. We have to go for a desperate engage. Maybe we'll catch them on split backs, but they certainly did not.
And I'm not entirely sure whether, I'm pretty sure Wukong's Q blocks, takes down Spell Shield. And if that is the case, then the Spell Shield timing from aiming was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it was...
It does take away the Spell Shield.
Yeah, so it was Q into ult. And so aiming managed to get it right in that split second before the Cyclone goes off. That was pretty impressive. So you can see why Croco would go for that skill check play, because if he does get the knock up onto aiming, then they're likely to be able to kill him. But because they weren't. And then it was kind of over from there.
Yeah, this is a really rough spot for Bro now. And like you look at the gold, it's all on aiming, which we've never seen that before. He's also only has 1 kill in this game. You know, wait and see how much gold he has. Maybe if he ends up racking up 4 or 5 more. It is looking like it might be that kind of game.
Yeah, and we're in uncharted territory, Wolf, as far as like we've never seen a game 91 before. But even in this uncharted territory, I think we know who the Gold King's going to be. It's just how it kind of goes.
It is how it is currently going, as he has 40 CS over Hype in this game. The Sivir, to me, was the big crux of this composition for D+, because it allows them to do so much with this Gwen side pressure. They already have the Taliyah that is the glue that links all this together.
And you were talking about the Sivir being just parked in the mid lane, clearing waves over and over, and he built a Bloodthirster as if to just, like, lean into that even more, making sure that even if he takes a couple of casual Mystic shots, it won't mean anything.
The cool thing about running a Karma comp, or one of the best things about shoring up the weakness of the Karma comp is like, yeah, you don't have great engage with that, but you can just say, I don't really care because I always get to sit defensively in vision and brushes, and you have to engage into me because I have Sivir clear. Like, watch it happen. It's just, once again, aiming is like, oh, you had a minion wave there. That was cute. It's gone now.
Yep. And if you can guarantee tempo, you don't need engage.
Right? Oh, exactly. So that's a great way to say, like, we have a Karma lane that doesn't need the engage. Oh, Croco!
Speaking of engage, the wall is going to come in there. Showmaker turning up as they're looking to defend the president, and they are going to be able to do so. Never mind, Morgan, the Lord, will be able to take down the Sivir, but Shiu finds the backline. Look at these low health bars as Hype just barely out of the way of that threaded volley, but it's Lucid that slams him into the wall and takes him down, and they'll grab a monkey as well. DK still coming out on top.
Yeah, still coming out on top here and potentially looking to start this Baron. Shiu is on 3 items on this
Level
Gwen.
17 Gwen.
Yeah, I think that, we lost our AD carry, but we're really not that concerned about it, especially with an Aurora that's ultless is really the only contest. Closer showing insides, and they know they can get this. A cool attempt there for Bro, and I think the best fight they were ever going to get in that situation. mission accomplished in terms of killing the Sivir, but there is just too much damage in this top laner. Is this wraparound with Croco and Closer is super cool. It's one of the only ways you're ever going to find an angle against this insane wave clear in mid, and they are able to take aiming out with Morgan just on the cusp of this, goes back through his ult and gets him down. Can't quite catch Barrel, but they have to go so deep that Shiu does massive damage. You can't play keep away with the Gwen when you're in melee range of a turret, and now Shiu is just like, I do damage to champions, I do damage to Barons.
And now you've got an infinity edge on aiming as well, so it's kind of like a good luck scenario. And if DK had like any of their speed up abilities as aiming was trying to escape Morgan, then it could have just been like a 0 for 2 and then free Baron. It could have been even worse here for the Bros.
You're absolutely right about that. If he lives and then he turns around.
Oh my god.
It's
well, now, I mean, it's still about the same level of awful, but it feels a little bit less bad when at least you get something back. As the Mountain Drake has spawned, that'll be Mountain Soul Point here for DK. The quad stack of Mountains might be on the table if they don't just end the game beforehand. Oh god, Shiu does a lot of damage to these turrets. Needlessly large rod now completed. Beginnings of the 4th item. Could be either a Zhonya's or a Death Cap. I think when you go for the rod first, it feels like it's a little bit more Death Cappy, because otherwise I think you build an arm guard.
Yeah, I think in this game you can't build an arm guard because you can't afford it. You know, you're not in the situation to where you can actually look for a big play. You just need damage, you need to buy time, you need to clear waves. And this wave is not cleared, and this turret is cleared by Shiu.
Yep, he is going to be able to break open the base here for the first time as the inhibitor will follow.
One more try.
Oh god, the Hail Mary, the Lord is coming in, and the helicopter is just going to stop. That is an immediate landing okay, there was a flank angle, but now they just decide to go in. Shiu is going to fall though, and now the circle is put down, and Morgan is bouncing around and looking for the opportunities here as Hype free hitting, but the threaded volley is going to buy the space that DK need. 50 seconds now though on Shiu, and this dragon is up. Oh, the seismic shove is good. On to Morgan, and these health bars are getting lower and lower. It is another little spin here.
Rocco still has Cyclone. D+ really need to be careful about the retreat angle here. They're trying to figure out where this Wukong is so they can try to get their backs off here. Looks like Bro are just going to concede the kills and look for the Drake instead. Will be Soul Point for them.
Yeah, picking that one up. There's the double tap on the Boomerang. Can we get rid of the jungle? It went down to 43 health. That's kind of insane, but that is Soul Point for the Bros as Showmaker surfing over, looking for an angle, and this position is awkward. Seismic Shove doesn't quite find the mark, but Heroic Charge, that one definitely does, and now Showmaker can throw rocks all around the Bro Glass house, and they will be able to take down 3 in the first salvo. Hype now running the wrong direction, and Closer, there ain't no way you're getting out of this one, says Lucid, and this may just have been the last attempt from the Bros. The old Dragon for Nexus trade to come through.
I have to give it to the Bros. Both of those flank attempts were way better than I think in most cases they would have, but it still just isn't enough. Some creative problem solving, but ultimately D+ are just too big. Showmaker has the TP back in. They have the Sivir ult, and they clean up house. D+ bouncing back here in round 3 was the most disappointing end to a spring season. It's not spring season, right, but to the end pre-MSI that this org has ever had. Not a extremely dominant game over Bro here, but a great draft and amazing play from the rookie in Shiu, who just controlled so many of these fights. If his Gwen doesn't pop off the same way, if his angles aren't as good, I think Bro absolutely could have taken this game.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. And you know what's really funny? You say it was a disappointing end. They're technically on a 3-win streak because the tiebreaker doesn't count. And so we're actually looking at them possibly moving to a 4 streak in a row. That just shows how bad things were in the middle of the round last time out for DK, and how competitive it is towards the top 6 here in the league. Just barely missing out of that legend group did DK. Showmaker actually doing max damage in this game, only being topped there by Hype, throwing Mystic Shots into a Bloodthirster shield the entire game long, and that doesn't really amount to too much. So really well played here by DK in their debut game, their very first match 91 that we have ever had. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back to space, going to break that one down. We'll see what these teams have for us in game number 2.
돈다. 아리
나
돌아.
공 쓸게.
날려도 돼.
이제 날리.
돌았어.
아, 못 날렸다. 살짝만 봐, 살짝만.
나 내가 봤어?
야, 공식 써.
볼게 이거. 천천히 집만 끊어도 끝낼 수 있어.
오오오오.
집만 끊어도 끝나.
오오오.
확인.
집만 끊으면 끝난대.
확인.
하나 쉴드 있어. 천천히 하세요.
잡았어.
나 이거 볼게. 아리. 끝났네. 바텀 가자. 쉴드 있어. 바텀 가면 끝나. 하나 쉴드 3초. 가본 것 같아. 쉴드 있어. 죽여. 쉴드.
And so we'll see how they can utilize the first pick here, as Morgan looking quizzical as they look to lock in their first ban. Of course, reminder that Yunara is banned throughout this week, as of course we do not get new champions as soon as they are released. It takes a little bit of time. Make sure that first round of hotfixes comes in so they're not too broken, as there is the Alistair going to be banned away here by the bros. Beryl pretty good at the cow, as it turns out. That one was something that we learned in like 2019.
Yeah, I do think that Pantheon and Vi and Varus are probably going to be the bans for D+. You don't want Croco to have his hands on either of those jungle picks.
Yeah.
And Varus is just too strong at the moment. That's also one of Hype's favorites. They actually banned it on blue side against him in game 1, and they will take it away from him here on red side as the draft music restarts, but we are still in the thick of it.
Yep, the Azir skyrockets in priority.
Yeah, that's
here
another
as well.
that's another ban that you could trade for the Vi. Like if it doesn't get banned on blue side in that third spot, you can go, okay, you get Azir, we get Vi, or vice versa.
Oh, it's going to be. There is a tank being played in the top lane this game. I don't know exactly who it's going to be. It might even be Sion versus Ornn, but I know that it's going to happen because, of course, with no Gwen, it does mean that the tanks become a whole lot more powerful.
I think
there is the Azir.
With the Pantheon, or rather with the Trundle ban, you're like, okay, well, they're probably looking for a tank pick here. You ban the Azir instead now, and you're like, okay, you can't play that front-to-back Azir comp with a scaling 80 carry. So either the Vi or that Pantheon will be up here. Vi is banned by Bro.
That is so weird.
So now they get to ban the Pantheon and be okay with it.
Yeah, so you were talking about, you know, the VVP being the bans to come through, but now it can be, they can do VAP, and it's totally fine.
Maybe the call is to ban something like a Sion instead here, but the Ornn is still up. I don't think you necessarily need to ban Sion on this red side here as D plus Kia. There's just so much up. And the Pantheon is just so obvious. So I'm curious to see what Croco plays now, because if he shows us something cool here, or they save jungle for later and he's got a sick plan, I'm like, okay, I'll give it to you. Xin Zhao is still strong, but you could have had Vi.
Yeah, I feel like Xin is an interesting one as well, because they could have just saved jungle, seen whether there was a tank locked in, and then take something like a Lilia, for example.
Yeah.
Which could have.
That's what I was.
Really
Yeah, that's
around.
exactly what I was thinking. Like you just explained the concept of like what I was trying to reach for there, but they just went for the Xin Zhao. Now, Skarner has been the counter pick of Canyon to Xin Zhao, but it has not really been successful for most other LCK junglers. The Sion is just going to get taken in return because of the Trundle ban.
It was so close to a Garen. It wasn't because it's a hover, but it was, you know?
The Lucid Nefiri was quite strong, but I don't know, blind here without even knowing what the 80 carry or mid laner is, if it makes any sense at all. Like, D+ are just locking a jungler away without actually thinking about what their comp is going to do right now, it feels like to me.
Well, I mean, they are...
Like, if you lock Zed here, you have no idea what you're playing into, and it's crazy. I can't say I like this pick. I love Zed. Like, I love the champion, but I don't know about Zed Sion as your R1, R2 rotation.
Well, you don't need to worry too much about CC when you've got a Sion, right? So you are a little bit more free to not necessarily bring it in the jungle. The Annie going to come down into this mid lane most likely here for Closer, and that does mean that the mid jungle is really, really strong. But Showmaker is going to have to play something that can set up for a Zed, right? So we'll see what is going to be left available and what he's going to be, yeah, he's going to be playing into the Annie. I was about to say what he's going to be playing into. We just watched that.
Yeah, I think at this point you could just go for a top lane pick to answer the Sion. I think the Scion is a cool pick because you also know Morgan doesn't really like to play Jace, which has been one of those pushing lanes. The Rumble doesn't necessarily get massive advantages there in the top side into the Scion.
Just play Ornn.
I was going to say, I don't know if this comp wants Ornn, but if you do want to just have something tanky into the set, you could go for it. But ultimately, you're going to keep it up in the air for now and lock away that prized rel with the Alistar ban already on lock.
It's so
And it's Paulo's best pick right now, I would say.
I mean, it is. But last time we saw it left up after the first round of bans, and like there were like a million other supports that were taken away. And to now have it be such high priority is just a really interesting situation.
It was always going to be Ryze.
I mean, the setup is there with the Ryze or the Syndra. Less so with the Orianna, but we'll see where he does go. It is going to be the Syndra, and a huge cheer here in LoL Park because, of course, Syndra is one of Showmaker's favorites.
You could root a champion, basically point click set it up for the Zed, or you could make it hard mode and go for scatters. Showmaker doesn't miss very many scatters, but you know.
You do also get AoE if you ult something first.
Yeah.
And scatter becomes extraordinarily powerful in those instances.
You also can burst a target down with Zed's ultimate and your ultimate so incredibly well, regardless of what that 80 carry is going to be. Even the Annie obviously isn't that safe in these types of scenarios. The Xayah ban makes a lot of sense just because of how the engage works here for the side of Bro.
Yeah.
And how easy it is to follow up. Like, I think Syndra Xayah is a really strong combo, especially when you have a Scion frontline, so that's a very strong ban.
I do think that the Rakan ban could have been even better, just because then it disincentivizes you to play the Xayah in general, and I think Rakan for Beryl is something that he's always absolutely loved. They do need more CC from that bottom lane. He doesn't have the opportunity to head towards something like a Karma down there with less CC and engage options. Of course, it's also fearless, so he definitely can't.
I was going to say, they may just ban it with the Xayah, but they decide to go for the Lucian ban instead. Looking for a scaling pick here, potentially. Speaking of scaling...
Yeah, Smolder on this patch is actually pretty strong as well, but we'll see what Aiming does decide to go with as he's just cycling through a million things. I'm
going to be honest with you, Atlas, nothing about what I'm watching in this draft here for D+ feels very planned. As the Senna is going to come through. Now, you've got the Scion, you have the Syndra to help engage, but access to the Senna feels relatively easy here with this draft for Bro. Like, they have a Rel, Shinjao, and Annie. Like, Scion isn't just like, you can't get there. I won't allow it, because they just don't have a jungler that has CC.
Well, the Bros will need to get a lot done early in this game, as Cho'Gath, a bit of a favorite into the tanks, and Morgan going to see whether he can gobble up the Scion there towards the top side of the map. Last pick here for Paulo is looking at an 80 carry. See what Hype is going to be taking into the center. It looks like a Corki could be just the option.
I think the best picks would have been, okay, this works well with the Rel, but I'd rather see the Corki. Corki, Caitlyn, Lucian were the three I think that you're thinking, okay, I crush no matter what that support pick is going to be. And the Corki is just the safest one, especially trying to deal with Scatter the Weeks and trying to deal with the engage from the Scion. Corki's Valkyrie is just insane value into all of that, and his ability to shred through those resistances early, his 2-item spike in the mid game with this comp that has so much setup and follow-up for the Annie CC with this Cho'Gath feels really good. I'm a bit of a Zed anti. I think people have been watching me since Zed kind of became fringe meta know this about me. And we as a team in general here on the global side aren't the biggest fans of Syndra, but it is Showmaker, right? It's his most iconic champion, I think, across his career. When you think about some of his highest highs, some of the dominance we saw back in 2021 on this pick when it was B1 every game. Showmaker was the god on this. And you want to trust that they can get this done, but I have to look at Bro's comp and feel like it's got great answers to what D+ has, and it's more well-rounded. The Senna, late game for aiming, has to be the way D+ get this win.
Yep, I would agree. That being said, I think that what DK have crafted is the best anti-Bro comp you can ever possibly put together. And do you know what that entails? Picking things that just get better with age. Because you know what Bro do, and that is not a whole lot at the beginning of the game. They're going to have to really buck that trend moving into this game number 2 if they want to keep this series alive. I think that this is not a lot of onus on DK to do stuff early. Let's jump onto the Rift.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We are ready to get into it. As already, Polo taken a little bit of damage here. We'll see whether Polo can metaphorically and literally, I guess, get back on the horse after a pretty dismal performance on the Nico. I really do like that Wadid did not hold any punches. He
missed a lot.
He called the spade a spade, and unfortunately it was a little bit of a sad spade situation, as Morgan is a very small little Cho'Gath here towards this top side, and she was already gigantic on this Sion.
Something we haven't discussed or acknowledged yet, by the way, is it was Showmaker's birthday yesterday. That's why you see all those Showmaker signs there in the crowd. Obviously, a lot of global fans might not be able to read those. I hadn't really talked about it yet. We had a fan coming in and saying like it was their 1000th day together as a couple, and they came to watch D+ today. It's Showmaker's birthday yesterday, so it's like his birthday game day, because that's how it works as a pro gamer. If your birthday is not on a game day, your birthday celebration day is the closest game day to it, which is today here for Showmaker. So he gets to play Syndra on his birthday game day, and maybe that's his angle here. He saw it at MSI, he saw Caps play it. He's like, yeah, Syndra, maybe that's the thing.
I mean, these are like two of his most iconic champs already. Beryl taking a little bit of damage here towards the bottom side of the map. We're expecting the Braum center to not necessarily have a lot of priority down here, especially into the extra damage that a Corki's going to be doing, as Digon loves Bro.
No, I didn't need a Pip to not know that.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to hold it for me to know.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. He did manage to collect some cute little cards there.
Maybe next time, he'll have a sign that says I dyed my hair red, because there's no visual way to know this.
Thanks for letting me know, Wolf.
Just in case people weren't aware, they couldn't see, or perhaps color blindness.
Yeah. Or I came to work today. That could be his next one. I will go home after the games.
I do love that Bro have those signs for the fans, though.
No, it's very, very cute.
We all love Bro. It's just a fact. Digon maybe most, but
the problem is like if you don't love Bro, then you get fired.
That's what happened to Chronicler,
yeah, that's what happened to Chronicler. So unfortunately, we're going to be saying goodbye to him at the end of the year because he was a bit of a Bro anti. And honestly, fair. I think that's it's just the way. As Morgan going to be fairly screaming at the Scion for the majority of the game, and not too much more to report as far as that top lane is concerned. So I think looking at this bottom lane is probably the best that we're going to get as far as early action.
We saw Morgan have a pretty good laning phase early with the Aurora when he had the range advantage, and then he kind of botched some of the execution. His hold up, Beryl.
I've seen this play before. It, in fact, happened about 3 minutes ago. By 3 minutes ago, I mean 1 minute ago, because it's only 3 minutes into the game. But this time it works about as well as it did then, as Lucid is Zeding his way towards this mid lane, as Closer is able to back away. It's just Lucid heading on over towards the top side crab, as Croco is able to lock down the bottom one.
Yeah. Well, about to happen again, potentially. Beryl does not have, he didn't have to heal, that is to say, so I don't
No one makes the same play on Beryl a third time in a row, surely.
Lucid looking for a play here in mid. Scatter hits.
Yeah. Croco is coming on in. That is going to mean that Lucid is just going to walk his way back. Looking for an angle here, potentially, as he does have the shadow down. That could be a dangerous move, but you can see Closer is not going to be jumped on there by the Zed.
CC is king, man. The fact that Croco has no items to a 2 longsword Zed and Lucid still walks away, it really shows you about how that fight would have played out. Closer's able to prep a stun there, and he just doesn't want to mess around with it. He is going to be able to get his Gromp here despite the vision, as they do want to set up that back there. So finally some items will come through here for Croco. I was mentioning Morgan earlier. I don't think you can get out-skilled in this matchup, really. It's not like, oh, Morgan had to leave, but then he botched it when she went for an all-in and he missed everything. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. As last time I tried to explain, we had to engage on Beryl, and it's going to happen again.
In fact, that play that I was talking about does happen a third time in a row. This time it's aiming that is looking a little worse for wear afterwards, but they do have the sustain advantage with these piercing darknesses, as Morgan is just going to get furnace in a soul way.
And Morgan, please don't make me eat my words on this one. Like, come on, you got this, bro. Come on.
Wait, you don't say you got this, bro, because bro on the other team. Oh no, it's a disaster.
No, I mean, like, you got this, Morgan. I mean.
Oh, right. Yeah, bro, you probably got this, because Beryl's fallen for it about 3 times in a row now, but he is a Braum, so actually if you engage on him, it's kind of exactly what he wants. And when you do have the sustain advantage, it is kind of fine, because their damage is a little more sticky. As Closer and Showmaker continue to fight, both of them fresh off a teleport back into this mid lane. It's lost chapter against some components, and so probably Showmaker feeling pretty good. It is going to be that first strike, much like we saw at EWC. I believe Caps picked that one up as well when he did try out the Syndra.
He was playing it into a Galio, which, you know, in his hopes, he was playing against Chovy, so it didn't work out as well as I think he would have otherwise liked. It's a lot easier to proc that is, okay, 4 times.
This time it's
a little different.
Just, yeah, it's just trying to hold the wave, and Polo is successfully going to be able to do so.
That's actually a big win, because now Barrel is desynced on the back. There's no way aiming was going to stop his back for that, or things would have been even worse because Hype shows up with full health. Paulo has teleport because he has unsealed, so he can actually just go straight to the mid lane where they're going to try to actually make that rotation up.
Yeah, Lucid going to be taking a crab here, as I am kind of into this Scion skin. And with Mists of Pandaria just releasing in classic mode, it's kind of cool. It kind of feels like Throne of the Four Winds. I don't know whether you ever played that one.
No, I didn't.
But that's pretty cool. I'm taking a break as far as that particular expansion is concerned, but I know that Achilles has been playing it. We are now going to have a look at this dragon being taken. Lucid going to be lit on fire here by Apollo as the dash away, no flash invested, but it does mean that they're not going to be able to get on over and take out this dragon. So Bro going to be able to start that stacking once again here in this game. Gold incredibly even, but with the objective coming on out, feels pretty good to be a Bro.
It's really easy for Closer to just drop a bear on Showmaker and go, well, we have Prio, and you're not going to win this one. And unfortunately, Lucid just gets chipped away at there. It doesn't actually get to enter the fight. So that's first break here for Bro once again, just like game 1.
All right. And DK going to be able to use the opportunity to push this wave in. I don't know whether Bro are quite playing this one fast enough, but I guess it's not really the time to be doing anything just yet. You want to get level 6s locked in. You want to have that Magnet Storm to be able to start off these fights available to you and things like that before you really start to put the screws in. But they're going to have to do it before DK scale out of control. Remember, there are splinters being put together.
The Scion health.
Yeah, the Soul Furnace coming on through, and there's all of these souls being picked up by aiming as well. Only at 13 at the moment. He's not known as a stacker of stacks. He's a stacker of gold.
That's true.
Is aiming. So this center has never really been his forte necessarily. We'll see how he does go this game.
Croco is going to start up these grubs really early here, and with the timing of Showmaker's back with no TP, I think he should just comfortably get all 3 of them without a hitch, as aiming's taking a ton of damage.
Yeah, that was just Hype by himself. Polo only just turned up. So really nicely played, showing the value of just the Sheen being picked up here by the Cork. He does use all of his blue stuff on it, and so not going to be too much more, as it is going to be the last grub left. And Lucid spotting Polo here. He does get that ward over the wall to know exactly where this Zed is. It's going to be a little bit of a rough scenario, though, as you've got Beryl holding position here. Hype in so much trouble. Does have barrier and his flash available.
Croco's here, does have ult.
Yeah, and I think Lucid knows it, knows that they're going to have to make a move here as Deathmark is available. Just shadows his way out.
What a great read from Croco there, saying, okay, they're not contesting grubs, and I'm going to come down here. They're looking for a play with this Zed onto low health, low mana Hype. And he comes over and just defends the dive completely. Still collected both of the grubs, and the third one could be taken by him if he is able to path up here top side, which is where he's naturally going to pass with his jungle clear right now. So really good read. Croco's had a pretty good series so far. Made some of those heroic defense or aggressive flanks happen in game 1.
One of the worries, though, as Polo once again tries to hold the wave. There's the ulti to interrupt the crash down as they do get the snare. But unfortunately, not quite enough damage. Dawning Shadow, is it enough? No, it's not. That's why you drink your potions, ladies and gentlemen. And Hype, he has visited the armory, and he is coming back. There was a 2+1 special on longswords, and he has a whole bunch of them as he gets back to lane.
I don't think that was really a bad call there from D+. If they get the kill, it's amazing. They were so close to doing so, and there's no inherent risk of losing a Braum or Senna ultimate right now. There's no objective to fight over for 2 minutes until that dragon spawns. The last grub is still up, but that's irrelevant at this point. So I think a low risk, high reward play there. Unfortunately for D+ doesn't quite work out, but at the end of the day, they would have liked to get that kill. But still, the Senna is getting bigger. Now up to 20 stacks. That third grub will eventually get picked up here by Croco.
Yep. We'll be able to go over and at least finish that one off, as Showmaker standing over the wall here, waiting to see whether Closer is going to pay him a visit, but he does not. And so all is quiet as we can see. DK, though, naturally getting to a bit of a lead, though, as we can see in the jungle. The amount of farm that Lucid has been able to wipe off this map has been absolutely insane. It is something that Zed has been good at in the past. One of the ways you can sort of impact the map, even though your ganks don't necessarily offer that much as far as CC, things like that are concerned. So just out-jungling Croco for the moment. And naturally being ahead, as this composition, I don't think I need to tell you, is very bad news for the bros.
Yeah, it's a lead in mid, in part due to the first strike. You know, a farm lead here for Lucid. I'm not ready to say that this game is not a big enough, you know, it's not a great situation for Bro until we see the first team fight. They lose a team fight and D+ get an injection of gold or a big objective. That's when I start to feel like you're not saying, you know, you're doomed as Bro, but you're really worried. As right now, I think they can comfortably still group for objectives. This first fight could definitely be theirs. The Senna is nowhere near her big power level just yet, so...
Yeah, also going for a weird build.
Yeah, the first Essence Reaver is not the common build. We don't do the Glaive build anymore or anything like that, but
yeah,
not the norm.
It's definitely normally Static Shiv into either Black Cleaver or Rapid Fire Cannon.
Yeah.
Last patch, Rapid Fire Cannon. Second was the build with Swifties, just to make sure that you're running as quickly as possible. This will do a bunch of extra damage. We'll see what Aiming is going to be able to do with it. As Beryl just face checking once again. We're going to see whether they can take down this control ward. As Showmaker sacrifices 50% of his health bar. And now Aiming moving into the mist circle. Seems somewhat dangerous as Tibbers is going to get thrown around here. Syndra is considered a decent matchup into the Annie for that exact interaction. The Force of Will being pretty powerful there.
Yeah, Tibbers did drop on her head, though, and kill half of her health bar.
Yeah, that still does happen, sadly.
Yeah, you didn't do any more damage after that because you got thrown into a turret, but I think Closer's happy with the exchange because now they get Showmaker's TP. Closer has full health, half his mana bar, so he can, there's actually a lot of room for him to play with here. He could just go for a safe back, and it looks like that's what he's going to do, but otherwise a big win. Fortunately for Bro, they're not able to get this dragon during that interim where Showmaker was jumped on. Showmaker keeps his ult, has TP'd back in, and it looks like D+ are going to buy some insane amount of time here with this dragon. With a comp like this, just getting one dragon alone makes him feel amazing, and this is where I was saying Bro still got one fight, you know, this is not like a disaster situation. They can maybe win a fight, but if they just simply give up objectives like this, then Syndra is happy to eat a Tibbers to just get a free dragon. I mean,
yeah,
not sure about this one, Bro.
And it would have been feats of objective as well if they had have been able to lock that one in. So even more to fight for. Of course, the Rift Herald going to be coming up relatively soon, minute and a half on that one. And still an opportunity to lock that one down for themselves. Then only first turret and the feats of Warfare. But Warfare is a long way away. We haven't had any kills just yet. We are 2 minutes past our previous game's first blood, and we were whinging about that quite a lot, and we haven't even really spoken about it yet. No one really dying in this game, and still it's a 1,000 gold lead here for DK with their a million different stacking champions competition.
Yeah. We're almost exactly 4 minutes away from the season record, which was 17:46, just to give you guys that context. We memed earlier about the round 3 stuff, but actually
it's like an annual record now as well, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, might be a catch onto Aiming.
Oh, there could also be a bit of a catch onto Hype, who just uses Valkyrie to get out of the way of the Glacial Fissure.
Yeah, I said that the wrong way, but yes, Aiming trying to get the catch onto Hype. Does not end up perishing or really taking too much game-changing damage here, just simply because he is quirky.
Yep, just the old press WBK type scenario. And that works out quite nicely. Gangplank's pretty good at that one too.
Morgan has 3 feast stacks. He's also a big scaly boy in this game. We haven't really talked too much about how difficult it will be to kill him later on. Has hard steel as well, so it's just going to keep stacking that on this Scion. One of the matchups you can just keep building damage on and be a huge threat later on objectives. Even though it's nerfed, Unsealed Spellbook's still relevant. You know, plus the fact like Paulo has that, Morgan has feast.
Oh yeah,
some real good objective control later on.
They should be able to guarantee things like Baron if they can get some control of this game. That's absolutely true. Seen the power of Cho'Gath in those instances. The thing that I'm a little bit worried about is that if this game remains on this slow pace, just may not really even be a thing that they can talk about. 32 stacks here for Aiming. Like to stack that one up a little bit more before he's really comfortable. That range is going to become absurd the later we go into this one.
Showmaker is just chilling, man. He's stacking his splinters. He has a huge lead, partially due to the fact that he has first strike gold being generated into this Annie, and he keeps consistently hitting that poke. So Bro need to make a call here on these upcoming objectives. Like, Herald is up, and I think trying to start that here is probably the game plan. I mean, you have great objective control with your smite setup, with your feast. Just go for it, force a fight, force D+ to do anything but sit back and farm. Otherwise, like you said, you're just playing this losing war of attrition.
Yeah, doing things is something that Bro need to work on.
If there's an objective up, you gotta be forcing D+ to come to it.
Yeah, and maybe this is a Brotax thing. You know, maybe there just isn't enough Brotax being developed today, as maybe I'm wrong, Croco looking for an angle, wind becomes lightning, but doesn't become anything more than that. And so I take, it is just confirmation that there is just not enough Brotax. He tried to go in and they were like, well, no, we can't afford that.
Well, I mean, the D+ are just positioned too well for that engage to work. If you're on Herald, then they have to walk towards you. Maybe you can get the engage then, but just trying to fish for it there where D+ have so much vision. I mean, look at the vision D+ have over this Herald. The entry point here, like Beryl is a ward himself, might be too deep.
Yeah, Lucid going forward. Deathmark is going to connect there, but he was tanking the turret. And the Deathmark not really doing too much, as Beryl is likely just dead. He is. That is going to be first blood going down here at 16 minutes and 48 seconds. So not breaking any records, but it's a late one, to say the least.
Yeah, we're just a minute away, but Bro will be able to get the Herald off of this play. The kill went over to Palu, as I guess they just wanted to make sure they could guarantee it. Their Croco's probably not too happy about it, but at the end of the day, D+ are still like, it's just a Herald. We're looking to actually take out mid outer on our own as Hype gets rooted.
Yep, Snare comes on in there as Lucid was just coming over to try and help out, but he will steal away some Raptors, or at least use the Raptor Pit in order to make it away to safety. That should be the objective feats going on over here to Croco as he destroys Shelly. So let's have a look at this one more time as Beryl just caught wandering here, unfortunately.
Yeah, following good position here helps set up Croco to get the catch there. Fortunately, Lucid doesn't quite have the damage at this point to get the kill on the Hype that they were looking for. They get that kill, maybe they can turn it into a turret. Instead, Beryl is just trying to group with that aggressive play and gets caught on the edge. Yep. Oh, it's a kill for Bro, but it's on to Palu, so the bigger win is the Herald they get after.
Yeah, and DK retain a very small gold lead. It's not exactly like Bro are running away with the game, as once again it is a Mountain Soul this game as well. And I'm looking at these two burly tanks on the top side of the map. Both of them going to be feeling very happy about picking up a Mountain Soul. But I'm looking at DK's comp, and I'm like, if they get Mountain Soul with this, it's looking real rough for
But
the
also,
Bros.
you know, consider every even bit of resistance into this Zed feels pretty good too. Croco gonna win that one, and they are gonna just get this outer on the bottom lane. Not the most high value turret, but they get it.
Yeah, and Shiu is pushed pretty far up here, as we can see.
Morgan has ult.
Yep. That was Feats of Strength picked up by the Bros as well, as, yeah, this is the wet noodles are out, well and truly, as we've got another charge actually coming on through. Croco in potentially some trouble, but Palu's there to defend. They don't go for anything here, as there's a bit of a knock-up, as Closer will take a bit of damage, but not too much more.
Really good play here from Bro, knowing that she was that far up. Had to use his ult to escape, doesn't have teleport. So, I mean, Morgan's actually looking for the interrupt here. Actually does not get the backstop, but they can start this dragon. They have full control. Paulo TP's back in with his unsealed spellbook. They should be able to get this objective.
But it's very tanky. It's a Mountain Drake, right? As a Magnustorm onto a solo Showmaker, doesn't have flashes. He just used it to try to escape, and so he's just dead. Morgan comes in and says, that looks like a meal. Didn't actually have feast, so doesn't get a stack for it, but still they just take down the Syndra and then get the dragon for themselves. And this is exactly the timing that Bro needed, right? This is where they're hitting their spikes, and they're making DK sweat for it, as there's the knock-up onto Shiu. He is kind of happy to be the target. As you can see, he's still got 50% of his health bar. Not too worried about being lit on fire, as DK still wanting to stand their ground and find something, as Lucid will catch Palu.
It's a choke point.
Yeah, in goes Croco now, is aiming in a bit of trouble. That's a great cue from Shiu to try and lock him down, but Beryl trying to get out of there. Tibbetts coming on down as well, as Beryl's still walking, but not for much longer. Down he goes. Closer grabs that one, and that is, if there were more feats to be gathered, the feats of warfare to come on through as well, as a teleport in, immediate rupture. Showmaker, why are you dead? That was not what you wanted to see. It is the Scion getting a kill back, and now Lucid does find the backline and takes down the Annie. But now Shiu going to be turned into a zombie. and is gonna, yeah, just chase them down. The Bros really performing well in that last fight and making themselves a decent gold advantage after.
This time Morgan gets the V-stack onto the kill there at the end. But plays like this one, remember, as D+, you're fighting with a choke point here. You don't have that much damage on aiming. He's the one who's engaged on it. When his health goes this low, he can't really do much. It's a big whiff on the Tibbers, but it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And this TP from Showmaker is desperate and at best optimistic here as he just gets focused down. Hype doing so much damage here, and with the turret aggro just being absorbed here by the big front line, it's just really easy to follow up on this. And I just think D+ are forcing desperate plays with a comp that just frankly doesn't need to do that. I think they were caught off guard by Palu going for the solo engage on the Showmaker, but they had all the follow-up, all the setup there to make that happen. They get Drake, D+ starting to feel the pressure, they overextend, get punished again. And this is a big enough lead. This is a big enough lead for Bro to where they can actually potentially continue to snowball this before aiming becomes a big threat. He goes Rune in second, so really trying to be a big team fight player later on, but it is going to be tough to execute with a deficit.
Well, it's another Otacon start here, down to 4K health as DK will make it to the area. Polo just dies. That is about it. It is going to be the feast for Morgan, though, to lock down the Otacon, but now, can they stay alive? That's the question. Morgan is absolutely massive and does have the rest of the team behind him. That's a big old knock up there as she also finding one. And yeah, Morgan just rupturing, yelling at them, and is taking so long to go down. Finally, he does as the Dawning Shadow to keep DK alive, but there is still a turret here to get the Bros out. And Hype still taking a fair bit there as the Shadow does go down. We get a big old zoom in as the Shurikens don't quite find the angle. 5 members of DK, low health bars, and down goes Showmaker. Question mark pings all over my brain after that one, as she also just going to be rocketed. It's a double for Hype in this bottom lane.
Palu's back too. Lucid's got to get out of here.
Yeah, he will be able to do so. Does have those shadows.
Man, it's starting to look like we're going to a game 3 here. It's only a small lead for Bro, but how they're playing these fights and how big Hype is suddenly becoming. I mean, he's going to be going toe-to-toe with the center for a while as Lucid actually is going to get caught here, but we're just going to go out because we know he's got a shadow back up here in just a second. So, like you mentioned, the Feast is actually going to be the secure here, and Morgan is just so big that it's really hard for, at this stage, the Senna to follow up. Also, Xin Zhao tanking so much here with his Crescent Guard, and Tibbers does some additional damage. So from here, you're like, okay, this is going to be into that nice knockup. I think that at this point, Bro could have just said, all right, we walk away. We walk away. They walk away slowly, still try to compete, and, you know, that's a kill that does go over here. Then D+ could have also just walked away. And then Closer dodges here, and Hype sitting at 3/4 of his health bar, plus the turret is going to help out here. Makes the clutch play to punish. Syndra knows exactly the angle Showmaker is trying to take, and unfortunately, Shiu also under turret aggro, so Hype picks up tons of money on the play. And this already is a scaled up Cho'Gath with 8 beast stacks, and Gio is not able to compete as a frontliner here in this composition because he's just going to get feasted if he goes in early. The tempo lead that Bro pick up from this is massive, and if they can get this 3rd dragon, they are feeling great about their chances of making it to a 3rd game.
The thing that's crazy about it, though, is that if you have a look at the gold, there is, like, not a lead for kind of anyone. And the only lead that's, like, kind of large is Polu against Beryl. And Beryl doesn't really... Beryl's also got a level advantage, and so it really doesn't matter having, like, 600 extra gold on a rel. The levels are probably going to be even more important. And so as far as, like, battle stats and things like this, DK doing absolutely fine. The Bro's going to need to find a little bit more.
I mean, they have control over this dragon right now. They need to just get a clean secure here.
I mean, that's a big deal. If they get this in 10 seconds time, Soul Point, double mountain as well for this massive Cho'Gath, that's a real advantage.
Yeah. And I do feel like they should be able to secure this. They're playing it patiently now. Showmaker on vision. That is going to be potentially a target as they look for Beryl instead.
Yeah, he shows them the door, but he's still going to be taking a fair bit. Scatter not really doing too much there as Apollo getting taken down very, very low. Shuriken's coming in, and now Morgan moving up with about 4 billion health.
This is greedy, bro. You just used everything on a Braum. I don't know about this.
And also Polu, not really going to be able to engage without sacrificing himself immediately. That health bar is just not very large as Lucid skirting around the fight. Force of Will onto Tibbers. There's a big knock up there from Morgan, though. Magnustorm does find them, and the flash out is attempted there from Showmaker, but he still just gets nommed down. down. They take out Hype though. Lucid soon to follow, and oh my god, this guy is just so big. Morgan, of course, is who I'm talking about, but still the fight is very even. Croco now fighting Beryl and aiming. And the zombie Scion comes down. We'll take some money there for killing the Tibbers, but the rest of D+ will back away. And aiming and Beryl just not quite able to fight through that front line.
It looked so rough for Bro on the outset, but the engage there, pushing back Showmaker and aiming, and then this big Cho'Gath, like, this Cho'Gath is too big to fail at this point. Morgan can stand wherever he wants, he can be wherever he wants, it literally just doesn't matter, but look at this, they get the knock up here onto aiming, they follow up with Palu's flash engage, and then aiming is out of the fight, Showmaker is the one who gets left behind here, and this Zed does assassinate with his ultimate, the Corki, but offers nothing. He's just an assassin, right? He offers nothing in return, and there's no more peel for aiming, so aiming is able to do a little bit of damage to Croco here, right? He's trying to make the play happen, but ultimately just has to get out. They get the dragon, and with all those extra stats into this 5-kill Cho'Gath, I just don't know if the Senna ever kills him in this game, even with the Cleaver, which I think is wisely picked up as third item here for aiming.
Yeah, I'm like having I was trying to work out whether I'd missed something, you know? I didn't see Senna in the patch notes, nor did I see any of the items in a build in the patch notes. And so I was like, well, is there something I've missed? Is this actually a better build? And the answer is I don't know, because no one else is doing this ever. It might be another aiming moment that we're having here, where he just didn't quite work it out. But the Black Cleaver, of course, is a big one, and now he can apply it to a lot of things, and he's got the AoE, I guess.
The Cleaver makes a lot more sense to me than the Essence Reaper and the Ruins.
Yeah.
I'll say that much, but it's not about items necessarily in this game, though, for the Senna. It's just that the front line he thought he had doesn't exist anymore because Morgan says no to it, and this Corki is so massive. He's going to have LDR pretty soon, too, and that's when the Scion just can't do anything. 2 levels down, in part due to the Otacon that Bro picked up by him with a feast, is just kind of insane. And, you know, I was saying, like, Bro, they got control. They need to get that dragon. They're going to be smooth sailing. If they can just keep hold of the map, I mean, they can make plays like this. Beryl forced the flash.
Yeah, Flashes stands beside his teammate, so he is at least going to be alive. But without the flash now, as DK well and truly on the back foot at this point in time, Morgan lumbering over, and there's the Magnet Storm. Lucid just yelled at, will get taken down. Croco taking a bit of damage here off the outset as the Scat of the Week will connect as well.
They could just go for the Baron here potentially. Like this is not good feast used.
Why does he have so much health? It is just insane.
I mean, at this point, you just walk towards Baron and say good luck. Close it caught though.
Yeah, that is going to be a Dark Sphere down as well, as Tibbers will distract them momentarily. Teleport comes in. They are on this Baron.
Follow on the angle.
If they're given any more time, this is just going to explode. There is no smite. DK gonna have to kill them if they don't want them to take this, as there is the engage from Polo. Doesn't have the Magnet Storm anymore, but they will be able to take down this Baron. Decent knock up there from Chiu as they take out the Rel. Tibbers goes down as well. Morgan is almost, he's flashing forward. This guy is an absolute insane person, and he takes down Showmaker to start off the fight. I guess he's still got a regular champion's health bar. It just doesn't look like that because he's missing about 7 regular champions' health bars in his health bar.
This Cho'Gath can do no wrong, can actually just do whatever he wants. He can flash on a carry and say GG, and at this point, the gold lead matters very little. Like, it's only 2,000 gold lead. It's about where it is here for Bro on this Cho'Gath. And even though the Zed got 3 kills early in this game, if they can't cross the line, if they can't threaten the carries, like the Xin Zhao has arguably made a way bigger impact in this game. This looked a little bit sloppy for Bro initially, because it's like, okay, I'm just going to sacrifice my support here for the Baron. We're not going to look for a turn at all. Looks like, oh man, Bro is actually falling apart here. Paulo goes down. Aiming's going to do a ton of damage in this fight, right? The Cho'Gath's low health, right? No, he's not. He's almost 2,000 health. He's going to walk over to Showmaker. He and Croco are just going to dismantle Showmaker there, and now aiming just doesn't have really a front line, and bam, that last shot there, even with the root coming through from Hype, is so massive. With Baron here for Bro, their siege is kind of insane. Morgan is on 10 stacks. We haven't seen a Cho'Gath this big in years.
Yeah, that Demolish proc did about 40 bajillion damage to that turret, and it is now just dead.
Jack shows with Mountain Soul potentially here in 40 seconds. I don't know if Morgan dies a second time in this game.
Yeah, he's almost got 7,000 health. That's only 3 items. And so it gets worse. And he's still, like, 10 stacks on the feast is just insanity. So DK, yeah, they've got some stacking as well. There's over 1,000 on Dashiu. There's some splinters there for Showmaker and stuff. He's got them all stacked up.
If only they had a champion in the mid lane that could do consistent damage and wear down a tank.
I mean, unfortunately, Showmaker is just not having the greatest of games thus far as Bro looking for a fight here, is aiming, wanting to stay safe. Beryl, he's not going to be able to do that. Tibbers is now zoning away the rest of them. Shiu goes in. Can he get out, though, is the question. As Flash is up, but he had no way to really use it.
Morgan didn't even want to feast. He wants to save it. He was trying to give him Uber Eats there. Atlas, he was like, I'm coming to you.
Oh, no, he wants another one. That scat of the week was fantastic, though, as the audacious charge came in. I just don't think it's going to do anything, as this turret is going to explode, and the base will be broken open on this Baron push. The Rebel Baron power play sitting at 4.5k for the Bros, and they're looking to make it 3 games here in their first time out, round 3. Rise group we thought would be dominated by DK, but the Bros are looking to battle it back here as a second inhibitor will go down. And I have a feeling that this lead is definitely going to be enough for the Bros, as Hype does get scattered. And maybe they're overstaying, but no, it looks like this inhibitor will go down. Lucid on a flank angle, but he's a Zed. I mean, what is he going to do? The flash scatter does come in there, as Closer is also tagged now. Croco looking for an angle. Beryl stands beside them, but once again, it is Showmaker taking a nap, and that might be for the last time in this game, as the Nexus could just be put down. The Scion has respawned, as in goes Lucid to find an angle, but the Dawning Shadow doesn't get anything. And the Bros continue to just make their way out. They're like, just let us go, guys.
Yeah,
do you want us to kill you again?
Morgan's got a mountain soul to eat.
Well, the train is going to leave the station, but remember, the rest of them have to get past the Cho'Gath, and that is going to be so hard. Lucid gets into the backline with the death mark, but then he just explodes. The knock-up is there from the 3-talon strike out of Croco, and now Beryl going to get chopped up as well. And I think DK, they know that the way out of this series is through a game 3, and that is precisely what Bro are going to give them, as Apollo is diving forward once again. Shiu does manage to help take him down, but that is a worthy sacrifice, as the zombie will come on out, and Shiu is well and truly dead. Another scatter here as Showmaker has come out of the death chamber, possibly to go back in again, as it's one Nexus turret left for Bro to take down. Tibbers being thrown around like a rag doll, but even Tibbers is having a pretty good game so far. And yes, I think the Syndra is not going to be enough to defend here, as Morgan is almost down to another 1,000 hit points. Oh wait, maybe he's going to die. There we go. That's a bunch of money over to aiming that he will maybe be able to spend next game. There this one goes, as the Nexus will be taken here, and it's game 3 time between DK and Bro.
Yeah, the good old Cho'Gath for Nexus there at the end. As I gotta say, the Cho'Gath is probably not supposed to get this big, probably not supposed to be the angle. A lot of overextensions from D+ allowed Morgan to become so large, and Hype became so big too.
I think
but
that,
the draft of Bro felt like an actual comp, right? An actual draft. And the draft of D+ was a lot of champions and a lot of comfort, but it just really didn't look like a comp that was going to work unless they just got to the late game for free. And Bro was just not going to let that happen. Sure, Bro could have played a little bit more aggressively on objectives, but once they got that first team fight win, you could see around 19 minutes where they get that big gold lead, they never let go of the game. Hype does 45,000 damage. He's almost at 1.5k DPM in this game. Pretty insane.
Yeah, incredible performance out of Hype. We knew this guy had so much potential when he was on KT last year. Great to see him making it work here for the Bros here in game number 2 to bring them back in this series. What I want after the break is the space to tell me what the hell Aiming was building on his champion, because I think that might have been a big reason as to why things didn't go so well. We're going to take that short break. When we get back, the space to break it down.
해도 돼, 더 해도 돼.
살짝 박을게.
오케이 해봐. 나 세나 볼게, 세나 볼게.
나 사용. 나 사용 거 이거 세나 그거 할 때 타워 쳐야 돼 우리.
확인.
세나 피 채우기 전에
타워치다.
신드라 노플 해다 신드라 노플.
나풀 16초, 나풀 16초.
신드라 노플에 와이 빠졌고. 바텀 라인 와 이번에 그냥 라인.
나 세나 볼 수 있어.
천천히.
와도 돼, 와도 돼.
얘들아 안 나올 것 같아. 얘들아 안 나오면.
안 나오면 돌아야 돼. 야, 쳐봐.
신드라 노플. 봐봐 내가 신드라 노플.
얘들아, 타워 쳐봐.
얘들 8초. 야 신드라 노플에 강남 질러도 돼 신드라.
나 끝내. 나 타워 쳐.
죽을게.
That we did get an explanation for the items, and it was the fact that it was a like husband to wife hand-me-down item situation, and so he had to use the essence reaver that Lucian had already bought, like it was already in the cupboard, and so that's probably what it was.
That he called it sponge cake. It looked like cookies to me. I don't know, but it looked like he cooked really well.
Sponge cookies?
Yeah, it looked really good. Maybe he's gonna save one for me. I'll have it after this series, but
that was very subtle, Wolf. I liked it.
I think D+ cooked way too hard with that last draft. Like that draft to me, when we went in game, I was like, I don't think so. By the way, like you could probably tell, but
I actually think that if aiming built correct items, it was fine, but he didn't, and it wasn't.
I think there's more to it than that, but it would have helped for sure. Let's jump into this third game where the Azir is still going to be a high prio champion, especially as we've moved a little bit deeper with 4 champs banned here. Really, all of them engage and setup champions here, so. Picks like the Rise go way up in stock because they're going to be consistent damage. The Victor goes way up in stock for consistent damage. The Ornn is still available, of course, as well to empower a scaling mid laner like that. So Azir's gone. Varus and Yone taken away here as D+ have banned the Varus all 3 games now into Hype. I'll take away Morgan's Renekton.
Well, the Lord had a great game in the last one, and to finish with full comfort would make a whole bunch of sense. One last ban to come through here for the bros, and there is the Vi.
I think it's Vi. I think that was not really a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, the PVV needs to be taken away. Every single game.
Guess they can look for a first pick onto the Victor here. Take a page out of T1's book if they want to. That seems like the safest opening in this draft. The Ambessa. And what they're looking for instead. This is a Shiu favorite.
Yep, does okay into the tank options that Morgan does have left available, like the Ornn, for example. So the Ambessa will be locked away. First pick blind top lane is a little bit dangerous. Let's see what the bros have in store for him.
They can just go for the Rumble.
Yeah, true.
I think if you're thinking about, I agree with you, it's great into tanks, but they won't just pick, they'll just will not do that when the Ambessa's face up.
I love this. Like, Pillar and Equalizer together are so incredibly powerful. So already, the bros have a really good 1-2 punch in top jungle.
It's good into the Skarner as well. I'm curious what Lucid has planned. Like, they can just go Lee Sin here.
Oh, okay. Instead, looking at a Misfortune, aiming one of our players that we do like on the Misfortune.
Without Rel, though, but, I mean, aiming and Ruler, I feel like, have been our best bot lane MF players, regardless of support setup. They've just been really, really clean. And we've seen, as you were kind of alluding to, aiming find great success on this pick. I think if you put nameplates off, though, it would be a little bit concerning to me, especially with how immobile it is, and even pillars can interrupt the setup there for it. So a little bit tricky here. And now, as D+, it's kind of an awkward spot. You could just, as bro, you could just grab a high prio mid laner, or you can get the Alistar, which is safe.
Yeah, Alistar going to be the lock-in here for Polo. Another opportunity for him to redeem that first game. His Rel looked fantastic last time around. Could make it a majority of good performances.
And now you get mid lane counter pick here for bro if you want it, which feels pretty good.
Yep. Silas, also you can pick away things that you want to play whatever champion that you're planning on playing into. So pretty nice. Already the Silas going. The Jhin going to be taken away from Hype. Certainly one of his better champs as well.
I wonder if they just ban jungles here. Like, I'm surprised to see Silas banned. I thought they'd maybe go Nocturne Lee Sin. Instead, it will be the Nocturne with the Silas you were talking about, which can steal the Alistar ult, which feels really powerful.
I think it needs to be an Orianna ban. Otherwise, Closer just plays it and is very, very happy with the state of the game, I would imagine.
Could also just, into this comp, feels like blind Rise and feel pretty good about it. Blind, picks are often quite concerning, but maybe Showmaker has something in mind here. Let's see if it ends up being AD carry here, because it should be, so that you can have that counter pick for mid. Like, Bro have such a strong position in this draft.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can also just lock Orianna just because it's so high priority at this point in the draft.
I just think there's so many other options that while you can do that, that gives Showmaker agency, and you could just try to counter what he does instead. As they're taking it down here, and what's the AD carry? It's going to be Lucian Alistair, interestingly. Not what I expected to see. I thought we'd see something a little bit more scaling oriented.
Yeah, or a little bit more range oriented.
Yeah.
As well, with the fact that, you know, you're into an MF. It's not necessarily the most value. We've seen Lucian Braum be pretty powerful here in the LCK. Lucian Alistair we've seen less often.
The Lee Sin seems obvious, right? It's good into Trundle. You don't have that much health or resistances to steal away.
And this is one that you were expecting as well. The rise for Showmaker, something that he has gone back to many, many times. And it will be Rise Lee Sin here for the mid jungle. So and put on a lot of pressure. Is Cassiopeia, okay.
That I did not see coming. I was like, okay, is it going to be Orianna for the matchup, or is it going to be Victor for damage later and consistency because you're playing a Lucian? But this is kind of the middle ground of the two, where you can play very aggressively with Trundle. You set up a pillar, and then Cassiopeia grounds you, you're dead. So all champions here who rely on not being grounded quite heavily. Yeah. And it also sets up really well for Equalizer in these team fights, too. And the amount of warping of the terrain that this Trundle pillar can do when you already have this tanky Alistair as well gives you a lot of really powerful angles in team fights. I do think D+'s draft is a lot more meta. It's a lot more figured out. It's a lot more solved. And it's a draft that I think is going to be arguably way more well-practiced than Bro kind of flexing here a little bit. But that being said, we saw them crush with a weird Cho'Gath game in Game 2, so anything is possible.
Yep, and you know, they spent a lot of time playing against Quad in years past, right? Closer has some experience up against Cassiopeia, no matter the meta, so it doesn't really matter too much there. I do like the idea of just putting things all over the ground, right? Which is what you were alluding to earlier with the Miasma and the Equalizer and the pillars coming up and all that sort of stuff. Their control of space is fantastic, but they don't have a massive amount of range into Ryze and MF that really do kind of like being up close and personal. Yes, Petrifying Gaze could be a problem if he's in range of MF, because she stands there looking in one direction if she's doing damage with her ultimate. But outside of that, I think that DK, they could play around it. I think it's an honest draft on both sides, and we'll just have to see whether DK can get back on the horse once again after a pretty pitiful game number 2 performance. Blue side helping out, but I think after this draft, it looks like it's less of a factor.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest parts is I love to see the classic Dom1 jersey there. One of the biggest parts of the draft working well for D+ is the Shiyu ultimates. I think that is one of the ways in which you can actually kind of circumvent this Cassiopeia, get into the back line, and punish what is a pretty low-range composition set up for that Ryze, because the Ryze also is going to be threat in side lanes with that Ambessa. So, you know, mid-jungle top, the top side of the map here for D+ is incredibly strong. They need to play well, and you know, we've known Shiyu to be a player this year so far that can be incredibly clutch on this pick specifically. So I want to trust that D+ can get it done.
Yep. I like that the little scarf there just says most standing. And
well, it might say most outstanding, and we just can't see.
No, it just says most standing based on what we can see on the screen. I haven't seen the out. So
but right now in the studio, Alice, I think most are sitting.
Yeah, it's
most
so sitting actually.
I see someone's going to the bathroom, she's walking out, a lot of security guards and camera people standing. But for the most part, even the players, all 10 out of 10, sitting currently.
Yeah, casters, you know, all 5 out of 5 sitting. All fans, sitting.
Referees standing, but I mean, that's, again, you're in the minority. If there was most referees standing, I'd be like, well, in fact, it's all referees standing.
I think if she actually had have stood up as soon as she was on camera, then she would have been the most standing.
In fact, looking around, yeah, we don't include the girl who went to the bathroom.
Yeah,
not one person in the audience is otherwise standing.
We could say equally most standing, because I think you only need to be standing to be the most standing, as it turns out. But we've spoken about that for a while. I think it's taking a little bit longer to get into the draft, as we are, I think, sorting some stuff out. But I believe
the room is being remade at the moment. I can see behind me, but we don't know the reason yet.
Yep, and it might have been
just a crash, probably.
Yeah, some sort of crashy issue, things like that. PCs and stuff, huh? That sort of thing happens all the time. So we are just going to rebuild the draft. It is going to be exactly the same. We at least managed to get through the whole thing.
Showmaker plays some of his most iconic picks in this series, right? The Syndra into the Rise now as well. It's not his technical birthday, but it's his pro gamer birthday, right? His live game birthday. It would be rough to go, what was it, 0-7, I believe it was, on the Syndra in the previous game, and then lose on the Rise here for D+ to lose their opening game to Bro after such a strong start in Game 1. I think that's one of the big storylines for me watching this, because going into this series, I think everyone was saying, in our group at least, like, it's winnable for Bro. Like, not one person thought, oh, this will be easy for D+. We all kind of thought, we heard the Scrim stories, we heard how monstrous they looked in the offseason. They've been practicing against everybody. They've been playing against LPL teams. They're playing against all the teams that didn't travel here in Korea, and they're dominating. And they're a team that preps incredibly well. They have Stevie Max on their coaching staff, who's known to be able to bring up younger players, especially like Shiu, in this case, Lucid being the second youngest, of course, but has a ton of experience. And so going into this series, you're like, okay, D+ should have the edge. And after that Game 2 went very poorly with a, frankly, disastrous draft that didn't work, now you're starting to wonder, man, maybe Bro can do it again, because this team has played D+ close so many times. You and I were talking about it before the show. This is just a new LCK classic. Bro D+, even if the stakes are low, it just delivers, it feels like, every time.
Yeah, and I'm like going through some of the stats, because the Cassiopeia was a really interesting one to be locked in last, because I was pretty sure in the back of my mind that it wasn't a great matchup into the Rise. And as it turns out, not a counter pick. You can't say that, right? But Rise does technically have a higher win rate against the Cassiopeia, just in general across the board. So obviously it is playing for the team fight rather than playing for the lane. And we've seen that hasn't necessarily been the way to victory at the moment, right? Because winning lane has been very, very important. And if you have a look on the other side, there's a Lee Sin next to this Rise. I think it might give DK a lot of avenues in the earlier stages to allow Lucid to really run amok up against Croco here in this game.
Unless there is, like, some closet Cassiopeia going on with Closer, where he's just keeping it really close to his chest that he loves this pick. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, maybe you're looking it up now. I don't know if it's like the first time he's ever played it pro. I doubt it is. I bet he has played it before, but it's not a common pick for him.
I wasn't, but I could. We have got some extra time.
We have some niche Cassiopeia players, right? Quad was one of the big ones, but we have a few players that have picked it up here in this region. Like Faker, for example. Yep. Obviously, an older player has played it through some more strong Cassiopeia metas. I look at what D+ have, and even outside of composition-wise, it's comfort picks across the board. And that's why if you had to ask me right now who takes Game 3, I give it to D+. Because the Game 2 draft had some picks that they like, but it wasn't a comp. This is a meta composition with every single player playing something they're fantastic at. Whereas on Bro's side, I can't imagine they're just as well versed.
Yeah, and also Essence Reaver first on MF is fine. So I think that aiming might be able to figure it out. He can load up the same item build. And, well, not the Runons. Please don't build that on Misfortune. But I think he'll know that, Bloodthirster will need to come in at some point as well, and stuff like that. He built a Bloodthirster in the first game. His Sivir build was okay. And I believe he also built Essence Reaver. Maybe he just loves Essence Reaver on this patch. But ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to get into game number 3. The Bros with a fun composition. D+, a little bit more meta than last time. Let's get into it.
시간사의 학교에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, Bro fans, full voice here in Lore Park today as we see whether they can start off round 3 with a bang. Being able to take down DK would be a big deal, but they're going to have to do it from the red side. Blue side has been 100% win rate so far this entire round. It is insane how good Blue side is.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's in fact what I did for my predictions all week. Is whoever had side selection, I was just like, they're going to win. Because Blue side's OP. You guaranteed to have it twice. So there you go.
Boom.
That's not actually what I did. I'm not entirely sure how many Blue side wins I did, but I probably should just try and retcon it and get back to maybe just doing that.
I like to play from left to right.
Ah, yeah.
I feel way more comfortable on Blue side. I'm going to be honest.
Oh, and it's like a direction you walk type thing?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Maybe
like,
it's because you played too many platforms.
maybe if I played Mario Brothers and it was from right to left as a kid, I'd be like, oh, red side is my...
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you've obviously been playing like the newer Donkey Kong games that are like also platformers.
Yeah.
Like, it's like even new games. It's all right, left to right.
I mean, Super Mario World was revolutionary because you could go right to left and go back. But like, you normally didn't want to, but you know, you could.
Yeah. And okay, Beryl, a bit of a drive-by there. He's just sailing past, just showing that the anchor works on terrain. Nicely done. They're looking to clear out this ward. That will happen. Aiming cancels the auto to make sure that he gets the money. You love to see it. Knocked into the alcove here, but otherwise not too much going on. And it's just going to be minions traded between these two bottom lanes.
MF into a 80 carry plus Alistair, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it's not going to be feeling the greatest.
That's what level 1 looks like.
In fact, the entire wave survived after that one. And Showmaker looking a little worse for wear here, as the Noxious Blasts, I believe, have been landing. I didn't do my job, Wolf. You mentioned that I should find out whether he's played very much Cassiopeia in the past. I don't quite remember very much Closer Cassiopeia, so I'm going to have to look it up.
I have no tablet or laptop with me today, so otherwise I would have done it, but you have yours. So
no, I don't. I'm looking it up in my brain.
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah, like, come on, Wolf. You need to make them think that they're smart instead of looking things up.
No, I mean, sometimes...
The tablet is definitely in front of me.
Sometimes you just use the tablet to charge your brain. And then,
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So he's just drawing power from the tablet.
Because as soon as I read it on the tablet, it is in my brain.
Yeah.
Right? It has to go through there. So theoretically, I'm fine. He's played it one time and lost.
Okay, so I thought it was going to be like 3 or less, but 1 is quite low, obviously. The back here for aiming feels amazing. He's able to buy a call and just head straight back to lane, and we'll still have some control, as Lucid is going to do some trading here, some vertical jungling with Kroko. The cool thing about the Cassiopeia into this draft, by the way, even though, like you said, it's not a winning matchup into the Rise, if aiming doesn't do big damage with his combo, which he doesn't have a rel to set up for him, right? Like if Shio doesn't hit his ultimate, you don't have that really strong angle, then you're missing a ton of damage because Lucian and Cassiopeia at low range are just going to be like, all right, well, it's my turn now. You didn't kill us. We kill you. And Rise, yes, he does a lot of damage. That's why, you know, a lot of his builds call him, or make him called Machine Gun Rise. Yep. Does do a lot of damage later on. But Cassiopeia with Conqueror is such a crazy threat, especially if an Equalizer just slows people down or takes a few, you know, health bars down to half. It's so easy to clean up fights as Bro, and it's hard to get away from Cassiopeia. You know, you're just kind of locked in, and it's done so.
Well, Morgan going to make himself a little bit quiet here, but doesn't land that last harpoon. He's just going to look for a little bit of a reset.
You know who hates grounding on the side of D+? Especially Lee Sin.
Yeah, I think Beryl also not going to be too psyched about it either. Does want to be landing these dredge lines, but at least his depth charge is not going to worry about it too much. As, okay, Polu taking a bit of damage here. Finds a headbutt Pulv though. Level 4 has been picked up as aiming going to swap his focus over towards this Lucian. They do get the heal out. That barrier has been expended, but so is the heal now.
Yeah, that was really well played, I think, by D+ to prevent the back. Because Hype, remember, hasn't bought any items yet. He's just sitting on that Doran's Blade, and now aiming is like, cool, I got this tempo call here. Actually going to be able to push this wave in. And they had vision there, so they were able to interrupt the back perfectly on vision. There's no risk inherently there for aiming a barrel, and they get the heal out of Palu and a ton of tempo. Huge win here for D+'s bottom duo.
Yeah, it's kind of massive, especially if Hype does decide to try and go for a back, because he wouldn't have been able to pick up that wave.
That's
so
Dragon.
Once again, yeah, the Dragon going to be picked up because they need to deal with this minion wave that is coming in. Xiu going to look to try and dash over this little house. There's public execution going to come on through, but there's the double dash. Doesn't need to flash, but does expend the ulti, which will take down some of his control towards that top side. As Showmaker not wanting to show his face to this level 6 Cassiopeia too much, as you saw, was turning away quite a few times. And that is going to be that first Dragon taken down here by Lucid.
Yeah, it's a big win on the bottom side of the map. Good defense there by Xiu with the ult, with the level 6 advantage. Their top side. If Morgan has his equalizer, maybe they're able to slow Xiu down. He's not quite able to get away or is forced to flash, but just presses R and takes it at a nice angle, gets away. Yep. We'll be forced to TP back now. Morgan will get a free back, but in fact, it's actually going bottom lane, as we're going to see a swap set up here. But
yeah, really interesting actually, because Bro was still back home, And it looked like they were heading towards bottom side. They see the teleport coming in. They're like, all right, well, we'll go back top, and that'll be fine.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird moment there where Bro actually kind of have that additional information, and we'll be just fine to match this. And Morgan didn't have to TP or anything like that for that play top side, so you can just go down and match bottom. A few minions lost here for Bro, but at the end of the day, feeling pretty good about it.
Yep, no worries at all. Showmaker comes on over and does manage to take that cannon, so no worries there. Be able to deal with this wave very comfortably. Level 7 now gained for the Rise, down 3 CS, so nothing really to worry about as far as the lane is going. And Hype will match as we're looking for a little bit of a grub play, and this is actually kind of cool for DK because we've seen Bro take the first Drake in every game, but it's often been very late. So now, first Drake goes down, but Grubs hadn't spawned yet, so they get to move their bottom lane towards the top side, and they can focus on trying to take that objective as well, if Lucid can keep this tempo up as far as the jungle is concerned.
Forcing Closer to back too, and when he didn't have TP, now he gets a free back on the wave push. Closer loses a little bit of farm, but Showmaker can just get straight back to the mid lane, perfectly timed for these Grubs. He also has his Realm Warp available. So topside control that goes over to this Misfortune and Nautilus.
Yep.
Feels amazing, right? Like D+ should be able to secure these Grubs, and I think for Bro, trying to figure out what the cross map is probably the game plan, or maybe just saying, all right, we're going to secure one, see what we can do here. As at this point, MF is so strong too with her ult at level 6. Like this is a really strong skirmish here for D+, and Lucid's already even saying like, we can do more than just get Grub control. I'm going to come over here and get some deep vision, look to harass the enemy jungler, get more information.
Showmaker going pretty aggressive, finds a Rune Prison onto Closer here, but doesn't want to overly commit. The Noxious Blast does go wide that time. Is aiming in Barrel. A little bit behind enemy lines now. Headbutt Pulp does come on through.
What?
Barrel, I don't know about that hook. Croco's going to move over. Amy's going to have to flash if he wants to get out, but there's the Sonic Wave coming over, and Lucid finds his way out with a safeguard. Barrel will be there. Never mind. He's just going to get into this grub pit, and then... Question. He'll die. As Croco comes on over and just eats the Big Daddy. Down he goes. In fact, Closer gets that kill. A big deal here for the mid lane matchup, and they can actually use this.
This get Grubs. And I mean, Showmaker, all he can do is try to, clear this wave and try to deny some farm, but Closer actually is just already over here, so he doesn't really get much out of it. Equalizer gets dropped to try to get Morgan a free back here. I don't think he's going to get interrupted. He does get away with it, but that almost was like, I guess I'll just trust Barrel forever no matter what. But instead, I am still very confused about what the game plan was, because also no one was here to catch him, even if that hook does hit on the Hype.
Well, no, the hook was meant for the Alistair, but unfortunately the Alistair went over the wall and, hit aiming.
No matter who he hits there,
yeah,
he died.
I still think the play was not good.
He dies for it, and they don't have any tools to win the fight. So the kill goes over to Cassiopeia versus going over to him, the Nocturne. I don't know why I keep saying Nocturne. Nautilus.
Yep, Noctilus.
We're all a little bit jet lagged, but at the end of the day, what looked like a disastrous play could have been worse, but it still was a disastrous play, Atlas.
Yeah, it didn't quite work. It is still DK with a slight gold advantage, but the Grubs going over is fantastic. Of course, denying them from the Ambessa also a really good thing, because the side laning here from DK could be very, very strong with this composition. Ryze and Ambessa feel pretty at home in these sides.
Yeah, more of a denial than like a big boon for Bro, but getting Grubs at any point also
definitely
feels good, because like anytime you hit a turret, it's value. Like, you are trading turrets, like you might just trade up because you have that Grub value. First brick, stuff like that, so they often go hand in hand.
It does mean that things are very, very even as far as the feats of strength are concerned. Going to need 2 objectives on both sides, 2 kills on both sides, and the turrets are still standing. So yet to see much ground being made there.
Yeah, not a plate across the map has gone down.
Yeah, that's true too. My goodness, it is very even. A few extra minions being picked up by the solo lanes of Bro, but that has been kind of answered here by aiming
Lucid
pretty far ahead.
Is late on the rotation here, but because they have to clear this wave, he might just have enough time. It's Barrel on Nautilus with level 6. Diving this is tough.
Well, there's another hook to come in. The Pulverize is going to connect as aiming does go down, as now Croco with the Subjugate running. Lucid is going to come on over, but now Croco just kind of doesn't have anywhere to go, and he is just dead. There are 2 kills coming on through, as Polo was tanking the turret for a little bit longer than he really wanted to, and does just kind of fall.
A bit of farm denied for aiming, but at the end of the day, that was a bit of a... that was a bit of a...
I mentioned like the question mark pings in the brain.
Yeah.
That happened again. just then.
So Barrel going in initially here is why I think Bro feel like they're like, oh, okay, well, he's already
Well, we're flashing forward. Morgan, the Lord just solo kills Shiu.
Okay, well, that's a big win. That's a big win. D+ do get the Dragon on the other side. Will be 2 Drake lead for them for another Mountain Soul. But
Morgan like had a warm-up game, and now he is just the god.
He's back to Lord status.
Yeah, he is definitely Lord status.
Barrel goes in here, and then Paulo gets the interrupt on Aiming's ult, so this looks amazing, right? But unfortunately, because Croco goes left here, I guess worried about getting rooted by Barrel, he ends up being left for the Wolves. Paulo continues to try to hold the aggro to let him live, but then they both die.
I don't think that was it. I think he just picked up aggro by mistake.
Oh, okay, I thought he actually was trying to hold it there. Either way, Morgan in the first-person view.
Oh, just stone cold.
Yeah, not too thrilled about it, but I think Bro fans everywhere should be. But man, the 2 Drake lead into Mountain Soul again is just so insane.
Mountain Soul. My goodness, haven't seen that one before. That's we are this round 100% Mountain Souls. Well,
so far, yeah.
That's nuts. That is way not enough Cloud Souls.
Statistical anomaly.
It is. It is quite anomalous. See whether that continues as we move to our next series. Of course, a reminder, that one is going to be Genji versus Hanwha Life Esports, and that is one that you will not want to miss. Hanwha made sure that they came home early from EWC to get as much rest as possible. At least that's what the EWC performance looked like. And now Genji going to see whether they can continue that streak. It will be 27 series in a row if you include EWC and MSI on top of Road to MSI and the first couple of rounds here in the LCK.
Cole's about to cash in here for aiming. He has that Bloodthirster online. Now he's heading straight to the mid lane. Like, this is the moment for MF where you feel like you can do whatever you want and you can control mid prio and you can look for fights. It's a big spike for farm comfort, really, for the MF. Good for team fights as well, but it's not, you know, the damage spike. It's just a lot of extra safety. And you're always going to be able to eat a little bit of poke. You're always going to feel very comfortable to come up and trade. So this is that, plus Showmaker hitting level 11. This Realm Warp hasn't really been used aggressively just yet this game, but certainly can be. He's going to fight instead just 1v1 here and win the trade.
Closer hasn't yelled at Showmaker yet. I feel like that Petrifying Gaze is just always threatened, and Showmaker kind of trying to play around it as best he can. Does manage to clear out the wave though, and Closer is just chilling. Gold lead still slightly there for DK, but it's only to the tune of 400. The only thing really to pay attention to are these dragons that they've been able to pick up alongside it. 1 minute until the Rift Herald. That is going to be the next objective to be looked out for. But if DK managed to stack 3 Drakes at the start of this game, it's going to be really difficult for Bro. So expect a big fight around the Dragon Pit. I don't think the Rift Herald is as high priority, but can really spell pressure towards the Dragon, especially when they're staggered exactly like this.
I don't think the mid turret is that valuable for either team. I mean, obviously it's always a good thing, but it's not like these are dive comps that are going to just run away with the game if the mid turret goes down. But you can use it for Drake Prio. The timing for that works out incredibly well if you are able to get the Herald. So we'll see if these teams are going to group as Showmaker does not have TP. Closer, on the other hand, does. If they're able to identify this, maybe they could make a big play for it, trade a turret for that big objective.
Shiu really respecting Morgan now.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding.
Makes a fair bit of sense. Playing back here as Morgan just taking full control. We haven't really seen him in any of our more than small skirmishes. Lucid standing on a ward here. They knew exactly what was going on, but the hook is still going to connect. There is the exhaust. Knockup is good from the Pulverize, but Polo is still likely to just be dead as the Realm Warp comes on in. The back scratcher down there for hype as the culling doesn't really do too much. Petrifying Gaze only onto 1. There's now Croco staying alive for so long. God, Trundle is so broken, man. And Equalizer, Showmaker takes that walk, but decides he needs to flash out of it, and you can understand why. As the Bros, they do manage to fight back. That is still DK, taking down quite a few. Croco's still up, though. That is going to mean that the Rift Herald should go over to the Bro.
It's a big trade up for Bro, and it's Croco secures that kill there. Triforce online, doing so much damage, and Showmaker's just unable to really get into the fight. Zoned away, and then Equalize there. So look at where the carries are here for D+. You know, aiming is so late to actually join this fight. The Apollo is able to absorb so much pressure. And by the time this, Realm Warp comes through and Showmaker shows up, Hype ends up taking out half of his health, more than half of his health. Then this re-engage is desperation because the Petrifying Gaze only hits one, but it's enough here. And now you have Closer, who's a real carry in this fight. Hype, who's a real carry in this fight. Showmaker's just not going to be able to compete with that low health bar. That culling was actually such a game changer.
It's kind of crazy. As now Polo doing battle against Showmaker here, but actually he is pretty tanky. So he is able to walk it off. Mountain Drake up and available. Everyone is alive here, unless... Oh,
a pillar!
God, that pillar is so good. Showmaker well and truly dead once again, and that should mean that the Dragon will go over to the Bros. And Lucid, he was ready to start that off, but unfortunately just caught napping.
Can't put him in the doghouse on his birthday game day.
Oh, it's so unfair.
And he is dead. That turret is going to fall, and that's going to be feats of strength, or at least the feat of turret here for Bro. They need one more kill, as you were alluding to, or one more objective, but it's the feat they get from it. First brick, and they're looking for more here.
Beryl, can you do enough damage to this? The answer is no, and maybe you're going to die for it. As aiming, we need you to come back. Beryl's going to get knocked up, and they're just going to give him up for the ghost. Down goes the Nautilus. It's another quizzical...
in game one, I said maybe the shot calling is fixed. Maybe it's looking better. It's a good look. But in games 2 and 3, it has not quite lived up to that game 1 success. As this D+ super broken up, and a lot of these skirmishes, and Bro are just not hesitating.
Yeah, well, there's a Q missing, and that's going to mean that this Dragon does go over to the Bros. They're on the board now, as that's just bullet time. Sometimes you just want to press your R button, ladies and gentlemen. That is exactly how Aiming was feeling as he looks to soften them up. Lucid will be able to take his Raptors. I mean, it's not over yet, but it's looking real weird for DK.
I mean, this is Croco finding all these angles, man. Look at this pillar, just on the edge, so perfectly placed. And the follow-up is there, because Showmaker's out by himself. Like, no one can peel for him, no one can do anything. All he has to do is pillar.
기둥 지렸는데?
Yeah, it was a perfect pillar.
Closer impressed.
Yep.
그래 임마.
Not gonna repeat that, but it wasn't very polite, but in a very cute way. The attempt here, though, from Beryl as well is quite weird, because look at where Aiming is. Like, he can't do anything. Another fight here.
Anchor is just going to go haywire there as they are looking to disengage the fight. Lucid gets out with a safeguard. That is just going to be fight over. Subjugate was on cooldown. Polo does have to use his ultimate in that last exchange.
Morgan does have TP and Showmaker does not. So, side lane pressure here is not really working out the way Showmaker wants it to in this game. He's only on 3 stacks of his Rod of Ages, and he's going for that super safe build, right, where he's got Roa into Seraphs. Not the most damage that we've ever seen, and when you're running an MF, it's a little bit concerning, to be honest, in a game state like this.
I mean, you're not going to build anything else on the rise, so unfortunately he's a little bit priced in, almost literally, as Aiming here in the mid lane doesn't quite find the double up. But, this is the most stable part so far, is the fact that Aiming is still farming. Everything is okay, he's still 20 CS up, and might be able to get stuff done. But we haven't really seen too much from this Misfortune so far in this game. And the Bros, as far as the fights, they're just looking so much more coordinated.
Yeah, they're just decisive, right? They're making the calls fast. And, players like Beryl keep getting caught out. Showmaker slightly caught out there. I want to give a lot of credit to Croco, but was in a position in the side lane where if he gets caught by anything, he is dead because there's no teammates nearby.
Yeah, he didn't have flash as well, so you just can't really be up there like that.
Yeah, these are moments that are incredibly punishable. And Bro have been, pulling the trigger on those. This IE is done for Hype as well, moving into this next objective fight. Otacon does spawn here.
It's even items. Aiming does manage to put his IE together as well, but he's a little bit further away. Otacon, I'm pretty sure, is 100% win rate so far in this round. As in game 1, DK were able to lock it down, and then Bro collected it in game 2. As Chu dashing around here, but Closer pretty happy in a side lane as a teleport in from Polo as another fantastic pillar comes down. That gets the bullet time out as Beryl has to flash. He doesn't find the turret. Polo gets underneath it as well, and he's got the unbreakable will. It's a double for Hype, and that should mean even more here for the Bros as the Otacon could be on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about time for a Degon Pip at this point. It's Bros pulling massively ahead, 2.4K the lead now. And this is just a free Otacon after the play. Barrow caught a third time in this one. Lucid an extra casualty. And D+ are saying, you can have Otacon. We're just going to try to take Closer out. But this turret is too healthy. There's no wave. And so the cross map is just not an option. And bro, looking clean in their first series here, the Rise group.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it's necessarily Bro that we need to be focusing on, because DK, we saw what they were capable of in Game 1. We have not seen that since. Game 2 was... It was a lot of things, and this game is also just uncoordination, and those scrimbucks, we said that they were certainly things that you're not supposed to focus on, and that is looking exactly correct.
There's just no respect for this Trundle here, like you're saying. Barrel's caught, Showmaker was caught in the side, Lucid going back in here. And I'm not entirely sure who his target was to try to look for a flash kick potentially into the turret. It's just not a great angle there. And I mean, this Trundle now with Deadman's Plate is such a threat, has been all game long. And while I will agree with you that D+ have had a rough 2 games in a row here, bro, you know, I think the bar this towards the end of the season, or towards the end of the second round, we started to set the bro bar higher. You know, this is a team that will punish almost anyone, and that continues to be true. So D+ have to tighten it up, or the bro bar is going to get hit. It's going to hit you right on the chin.
Oh, hit with a bro bar. It's kind of like getting hit with a crowbar, but probably hurts a little bit less.
Yeah, but and it's not great at prying open like metal or doors, but it's good at prying open game 3s.
Well, Croco going to look for an angle here as another Culling just going to get soaked here by Barrel. He gets an ult out, he interrupts it, but he's dead. And so Polo ghosting around here. Showmaker, what are we doing? Why are we here? He is going to try and get out, but it is another pillar from Croco. Oh man, player of the match, I think I know where it's going according to me. Might be recency bias, but my god, this Trundle has been so good. As public execution is going to miss, but we'll see whether Morgan is still going to die. Make it rain, comes on down, and oh my god, the Lord is going to turn it as they take down Chiu. Aiming now in trouble, Lucid goes in desperately, trying to find the angle, but Morgan doesn't get hit by those. Aiming is flashing in, and they are tilted off the planet. DK are looking to get crushed in this game 3.
That's the kind of tilted skirmish fight that you don't expect to see from a team that has had so much time together, a team that's got veterans like Showmaker aiming and Barrel on it, and yet they get punished by Pillars again. Atlas, one more time here. Pillars on cooldown here, but Croco's just gonna run up, and they've got so much CC. Barrel trying to go in and ult hype. Who's gonna follow up on that? Lucid's got flash and
you know who? Showmaker is.
Yeah.
He's following up on it, man, whether you like it or not.
And you know what? I hate to say it this early in the round, Atlas, but I did say at the beginning of the day, I think D+ deserve trust. With all the reports about the scrims, this is such a great moment here from Morgan. Has the hourglass, or rather the arm guard, is able to buy so much space here, then tilts aiming into or flashing in and dies. Well, we said at the beginning of the day, I think D+ deserves our preds. I think they deserve our trust. They've had a ton of extra time. They moved their coaching staff around, but after this series, man, I think I'm throwing that trust out the window. And bro, they just stay consistent. They stay good coordination-wise in terms of these team fights, the punish plays, and they're more proactive than D+, and D+ is proactive at the wrong moments, Atlas.
Yeah, it's not quite working. At this point in time here for DK, Shio is at least going to be able to get a turret here towards the bottom side, but it's 7,000 gold. The lead has just ballooned out of control. Remember, Otacon was picked up earlier on as well. They've got 2 Mountain Drakes on their backs now. 4 minutes until that next one, and it's going to require a miracle here for DK if they want to make it back into this game. Croco on this Trundle looking absolutely fantastic. 3-0-4 for Closer as well on the Cassiopeia. And I don't know what DK are going to be able to do to try and get back into this game.
He's going to hit 16 off his rod. Oh, there it is.
Hey, there we go. Nailed it. As okay, Lucid is going to taxi
Hopefully
out using his own red buff, as this time Showmaker is not going to get completely destroyed by the pillar. As aiming with a Make It Rain, trying to split this fight up, as Hype could be in trouble. He's kicked back. Down goes Lucid though, and Hype's just out of range of the bullet time. He stays alive, and the depth charge isn't even enough to kill him. It's Barrel's turn just to dive face forward. He does get his target. But I don't think the entire team was worth it.
Yeah, well, with that third kill, he picks up a Knight's Vow. Atlas, I guess that's what he's going to be looking at here in his collection as the Nexus falls. 4 dead on D+. Bro, 17 kills to 5. Relatively low death timer here on this Ambessa. They're not going to all in for the win, but this game is definitely over. As Hype is the target once again here. The equalizer, so good for zoning here. Hype gets the triumph proc off of the kill here from Shiu, and then is able to survive the ult from Barrel. Barrel is finally able to take him out with the Ignite, barely taking him in, but the rest of D+ are dead outside of aiming. Just can't do anything. Bro, take the inhibitor, take the Baron. They're looking for, with this Baron, either the win as they break open the base further, or worst case scenario, a third Mountain Drake in a row. For this Trundle, it's got a Spirit Visage. Nobody's hurting this guy.
Nope. It is, this is feeling like the last push here for the bros. And man, DK in game 1, if you had left me at the end of game 1 and said, oh, what's going to happen in this series, I'm like, oh, 2-0, and then we'll move on to the next one. Was definitely not the case. So
what
tenacity of the bros. What I'm saying is the bro tax did come in.
So what you're saying is the unprecedented D+ dismantling in game 1 into tragic loss in game 3 and getting totally blasted in game 3 is still a thing, Atlas? Is that still a thing?
It is.
That's what Chronicler's already tweeting about, I'm sure.
Well, Hype is now going to get tagged by a Sonic Wave, but Polo is just getting Lucid out of here. Showmaker trying to flash away, but Croco is just going to kill him. Now Polo finding the backline perfectly as the equalizer goes down just to assassinate the Misfortune. Showmaker goes down as a bit of an afterthought here, and the bros will conquer DK here in the first match. Shiu, he's going to dash around a little bit. His public execution was swift and merciless. And the bros, yeah, they took a little bit of a timeout in the first game, but they absolutely came back with a vengeance in the next 2 and will lay claim to the first series of round 3.
What a great start to round 3 here at LCK 2025. Anyone can beat anyone was kind of the moniker of our right side of the bracket, right? Our east side, which is now the Rise group here. And D+ got pulled into that Rise group. They came in as pretty heavy favorites, but we knew Bro were capable. You know, I said when I put in my Preds, I actually put Bro in first and edited it. I said, no, I think D+ deserves our trust. And yes, D+ had a great game 1, but the draft in game 2 was wonky. The build from aiming was weird, and the, I think, almost tilted nature of how they lost game 3 means they just felt, or saying game 2, made game 3 just kind of weird. Like, constantly getting caught, constantly getting punished by bullets. Trundle is strong, but Croco made it look unbeatable.
Yeah, we've seen Trundle look pretty unbeatable before as well. So, I don't know, man. This was a really impressive performance by the bros, and it just shows that even if the bro tax is a little bit late, wasn't coming through all that strongly in game number 1, but you get it in game 2, everything is absolutely fine. Just have to make sure you pay it. It's not about late fees here. We don't give you late fees if you pay your bro tax late. It's absolutely fine. If you do it after the series, yes, there will be a lot of those fees. So make sure you get it in before game 2 is over. That is the main thing. The bros looking absolutely fantastic here in this first game, but I think there is a lot to be spoken about how DK played those last couple of games. It just shows that some of the issues that we were looking at are still certainly there, and they will need to make some things happen, even if they are super far ahead in this Rise group, right? Like, there was a top 6 in the LCK. It was very unfortunate for DK that they fell out. They're going to have to still keep the wins coming through unless they want to lose that top spot here in this group.
Paulo did just pick up aggro here as Croco was out of range. The thing about D+, and like you and I didn't necessarily share this opinion when D+ was first locked into the Rise group, but to me they're a team that's so momentum based, and like a lot of the success and play of Showmaker is about how much fun he's having, you know, what his mental state is. And to fall into Rise group has got to be a huge blow to this org. Like, Showmaker's been on this org from start to finish, right? It's his lowest finish ever halfway through the year. And he didn't play his greatest game here, obviously, on his birthday match day. At the end of the day, though, it's about more than just Showmaker's individual performances. The team's coordination and shot calling was one of the big issues we had and what we talked about a lot at the end of round 2. And I thought perhaps with some additional time, some of that would be remedied, and yet they just hit Bro, who are look like they're just where we left them, you know?
Yeah.
And that means better than D+ with this level of coordination. And I think D+ are going to walk out of the series a little bit embarrassed with how it went down, because if they all just played 10 to 15% better, it feels like this is such a winnable game, but the small errors eventually just stack up, and Bro, the bar is set, and D+ just didn't match it.
Yeah, one of the worries that I have as well is that, you know, between games 1 and 2, things certainly didn't go so well, but between games 2 and 3, it seemed catastrophic. And we've seen this be the case with CV Max teams in the past, right? Where maybe you can double down on some tough love, perhaps. And I'm hoping that that is not the case. I'm hoping that CV Max has turned a different corner, but it might be that history could repeat itself.
At least he can't run drafts back anymore in Fearless.
That is a very good point. We're not going to get multiple Taliyah Pantheons in 3-zip finals and things like that. That was quite a long time ago that he was on Griffin back then. Hype having a phenomenal performance, though, back-to-back games. The Corki and the Lucian looking fantastic.
I think you could vote Morgan, Croco, or Hype. Morgan's Cho'Gath, his Rumble was amazing. Croco, I voted for him. I thought he was the most consistent player across all 3 games. He had an amazing Xin Zhao game.
I would have voted for him just for the pillar.
He ruled this game with some fantastic pillars, but then Hype, similar story, incredibly consistent across the series and was very, very strong in games 2 and 3. Croco is going to get it. I think there's a little bit of recency bias on that game 3, but his Xin Zhao was deathless, was really, really a big part of what they were able to do with that Cho'Gath, and then he was able to find those Wukong flanks despite the loss in game 1. He just really has been super proactive today, super confident, and I think this pickup was one of the pickups that shocked us towards the end of round 2, or at the end of round 1, I think is when he was officially signed. But it's paying off here for the Bros.
Yep, and I think it made sense as time went on, right? Like the Closer and Croco synergy was already there from, you know, back on their sandbox days and stuff like that. So certainly some understandable moves, but Humbug was pretty good as well. So maybe they've just got a lot of junglers that are good now, and that's totally okay. Also looking like the Juke pickup has been working out, because those last couple of drafts were absolutely beautifully orchestrated. Their first couple of picks, that Rumble Trundle, beautiful way to set up your draft as well. And in a game 3, that's harder to find, you know, grabbing that that big synergy. So really, really good stuff there from the Bros. Now it is time to head over to the POM interview with Croco.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Dear for the POM interview translation of the first match of round 3. Joined by Croco on the side of OK Savings Bank Rion. Congratulations! It was a comeback, and you ended your 3 LCK match losing streak and got your first win of round 3. You must be quite happy. Yeah, it feels great. What does this victory mean to you? You know, despite the outcome last time, I feel like we had a pretty decent performance, and I'm really happy that we're able to show up and get this great victory today. And following round 2, you defeated D+ Kia again in round 3, and you took down the #1 team in Rice Group. So what makes you particularly strong against DK? You know, we got a new head coach, and I think we were really trying to stay on the same page and get our synergy up there. And we really wanted to build up our chemistry, so we actually have been watching movies and spending a lot of time with each other, so I think that's what really helped. Yeah, it must be all the team activities that got you to this point. So after head coach Duke joined, is there anything that's different now? You know, I think Duke has a very good understanding of the game, and he has a really good read, so I think it really does help us being led by someone like him. And Croco, you are the OG rookie king, and you really showed up with that aura, so what was really the game plan for top? I think Morgan is really good with the tank and the bruiser type of champions. And I just thought, you know, as long as I'm able to feed him, I think he's going to repay everything that I do for him. And in game 3, the enemy took Lee Sin against Trundle. And with Lee Sin being so agile, it could have been so challenging, but your pillars were just no joke. So how are you so good at hitting your pillars? You know, we tried to coordinate off of champions that we were good at. And I think we just played out the game thinking that we had better and higher value champions. And I think that's just, you know, I think I just had that in-game sense that allowed me to put the pillars down. And today, the overall match was so intense. So when were you certain that you won the game? You know, in game 1, we were able to start off with a lot of advantage. And I thought that the flow was going really well at first, and we ended up slipping, and that's a regretful 2-1 victory. But I think at the start of game 3 and the draft, and I think that's when we already knew that we won. And with the new format in round 3, we have Rise and Legend group, and a lot of people are saying that this format is really fun. So what is your perspective on it? You know, as a player, I feel like I've been playing in opening matches a lot, quite often. And I think, you know, going into an opening match, I go in with a very exciting mindset that I really want to win. And I think it's really fun. I'm just really glad that I was able to win today. Yeah, what a pleasant start to round 3. Moving forward, what are your goals? Now I want to make sure that my performance is up to par as much as our fans expect. And I don't think it'll be as easy to get rank 1 and the top spot of our group, but we're going to keep on trying to show you the best performance that we have. And that's the end of the interview with Krakow, and back to the space. Thank you.